Well, a very good morning, everybody. Welcome to Lonato. Welcome to the final day of the 2024 ROK Cup Superfinal here at South Garda Karting. My name is Andrew Mather. Alongside me in the commentary box once again for the Superfinal is Daniele Laspina. Daniele, it's been a long week. It's been a very mixed week in terms of the weather, but a big day of finals ahead of us here today, and we start with Super ROK.
Yeah, it's been a long week. It's been a wet week, and it's gonna be a wet Saturday. So let's see what it's like now out there. Let's see what happened, because pre-finals and final for the super final here at the ROK Cup 2024.
Quick run through the grid. Brando Pozzi starts on pole. Bartosz Zewasz starts alongside on the front row. Kubarajski and Maxi Rafalik start on row 2. Alexander Bogdanovic and Mohamed Vali start on row 3. Christian Konanika and Zachary Taylor start on row 4. Riccardo Ferrari and Nicolo Coppotelli start on row 5. Sachol Roger and Ricardo Cucozza start on row 6, ahead of Matteo Favero and Alex Desario. We are green and racing. A field of 27 drivers heads down towards the first couple of corners. The points from overnight and the 4 rounds of qualifying heats that have already taken place this week carry over into this race. But this is going to be a really, really important one for everybody out there to get as good a position as they can and set their positions for the grid. Looks like it's been a pretty good start for the Ferrari karts and the CRGs, both Kubarajski and Brando Pozzi running well in the early stages. Drivers finding out where the grip is. There's been a lot of rain this morning, and it is the 6:28 of Brando Pozzi who leads this race through the S's for the first time into the triple hairpins at the end of the lap, where we saw a lot of dramas yesterday, not just in the wet but also in the drying conditions. This was the part of the circuit that dried the least. There's not a lot of grip through the Petonese at all, but at the end of the first lap, Daniele, Brando Pozzi, as he has done across the course of the weekend so far, is on 8 points at the moment. It's the only driver still in single figures. Pozzi has had a strong start to this competition.
Sarà una gara da vivere insieme qui al South Garda Karting, perché cominciamo appunto con la Super ROK, finale già in corsa, e l'abbiamo visto negli scorsi giorni. Con queste condizioni ci sono alcune parti del tracciato che sono parecchio insidiose, pozzanghere, situazioni scivolose. Anche con le gomme rain bisogna fare tanta attenzione. Per ora però è stata un'ottima partenza da parte di Brando Pozzi, che sta provando a guidare, e lo ricordiamo, è fondamentale questa prefinale, perché il risultato al traguardo con i punti complessivi e tutto il resto darà la griglia di partenza per la finale di oggi pomeriggio. Quindi davvero da questo momento in poi vietato scherzare, vietato perdere tempo. Ogni posizione conta, ogni situazione può cambiare il corso degli eventi. Pozzi, Rajski, Bogunovic, Guizak, Ferrari, Canonica, Roger, Wally, Favero e Cicognini. Questa è la top 10 in questa Super ROK, che ha visto tanto equilibrio nel corso della settimana. Quindi chissà, vedremo, perché ovviamente le situazioni sono cambiate in virtù delle situazioni di tempo che sono cambiate. Qualcuno era più efficace sull'asciutto, qualcuno più efficace sul bagnato, qualcuno è riuscito a essere efficace sempre, però davvero adesso c'è da fare il massimo dell'attenzione. The Super ROK, Andrew, was one of the most entertaining category of whole week. We got a lot of drivers that were fast. Some of them are fast in this condition, some of them are not. Some of them are fast in the mixed condition. So it's important. Now it's important what condition we will have this afternoon. Oh, there's a spin there.
Yeah, it's the 6:06, I think, that's gone round there. That is going to be that's Sachol Roger, who was a long way up the order, was in 7th place. No, it's not Sachol Roger, it's the 6:08. Apologies. Chiara Bonini has gone round just before the S's. Bolonini was down in 24th place. 4.5 minutes of this pre-final to go, just a single pre-final for the Super ROK category. At the moment, Pozzi, by virtue of winning this race and having combined results through the qualifying heats of second, third, first and third, in that order, chronologically. Pozzi would be on pole position for the final. Rajski, with this performance in second place, would be elevating himself onto the front row of the grid. Good to see Alexander Bogdanovic back in form as well, Daniele. The driver for ASD Auto European Motorsport had a bit of a difficult couple of rounds, was very quick on Wednesday in the wet conditions, was our pole position award winner, and then took the first heat. Seems to be back in the rhythm now, has gained 2 places in this race, is up to third, and this could be a bit of a danger for the rest of the order.
Yeah, it very well could be, but we see also few drivers that have a learning curve in this condition. I'm thinking about Bartosz Gwiezdziak. That was not that fast in this condition on Wednesday, for example, but now it's getting there. Now it's trying to hold it up there, and it kind of probably they worked also on the kart to let him do better, to let him be faster, and everything could be important. Every single adjustment could be important today for this super final. 2.53 al termine di questa sessione, che sarà appunto 2.50 più un ultimo giro, quindi quando il tempo andrà a finire, i piloti passeranno sul traguardo e cominceranno quello che sarà l'ultimo giro. Sarà quello che vivremo tutto sommato tutta la giornata, soprattutto se continua a essere bagnato fuori, continua a piovere in pista. È un buon frangente quello di Brando Pozzi, intanto che ha accumulato 3 secondi e 3 di vantaggio nei confronti di Rajski, che sta provando a ridurre quel gap, ha tolto 3 decimi, ma è ancora buono il vantaggio di Pozzi. Forse Rajski è un po' più preoccupato, tra virgolette, dal ritorno di Bogunic, che sta andando molto forte, è anche molto più forte di lui, anche visivamente. Lo sloveno si sta avvicinando a Rajski per cercare di insidiare la sua seconda posizione. Come detto, farà fede tutto, e sarà importante anche cercare di trovare il posto, il modo giusto per effettuare l'attacco, perché alcuni dei punti dove di solito avvengono i sorpassi qui al South Garda Karting hanno delle insidie, hanno molta acqua. C'è da cercare una traiettoria diversa, c'è da provare a trovare anche una soluzione in corso d'opera in base alle traiettorie che fanno i piloti. Molti piloti abbiamo visto durante il warm-up, per esempio all'ultima del pettine, mentre intanto segnaliamo il ritiro di Sacha Roger. Questo è un gran peccato, lì in uscita di curva 3 vediamo il suo kart parcheggiato. Dicevo, abbiamo visto molti piloti alla pettine 3, all'ultima curva prima del rettilineo, preferire una corsia esterna per la tanta acqua all'interno, però si fa molta più strada chiaramente, quindi insomma vedremo cosa succederà. E soprattutto i piloti devono tenere conto di come funziona il format. Andrew, of course in this final part of these pre-finals a lot of drivers want to keep the position or fight for a better position, but they have to take in mind the format of the event and what it's like what do you need to be up in the front in the grid for the finals.
You need that consistency, and particularly if you've built up a good run of scores so far, you know, that extra position in this race may not be worth the risk. Unfortunately, in the last couple of minutes we've seen Sacha Roger have a problem, so whilst I was mistaken in saying he was having a problem earlier on in the race, he has had one now, and the Frenchman who was up in the top 6 is now outside of the top 20. It is out of this race. Now it won't be a problem for making the final. All of these drivers will make it through, of course, being 27 of them, but that is exactly the point. Daniele, Roger was on a good run of scores, was looking at 6th, 9th, 20th, 12th, and then potentially another top 10, a solid top 10. It's now going to be 25th. That's going to be a lot of intermediate classification points on his scorecard. It's going to result in the Frenchman being a lot further down the order than it perhaps could have been. Time is up. We are on timed races at the moment as opposed to laps because of the weather conditions. So for Brando Pozzi, we're not on the last lap yet. So time has expired during the course of this turnaround to the circuit. But Brando Pozzi's lead is 5.5 seconds. Looking pretty good. Kuba Rajski still there in second place. Bogdanovic in third. Jevac in 4th, Kalanika in 5th. Good drive as well from Domenico Cicconini. Cicconini has gained 9 places in this race and is on for a best result of the race week so far in 9th place. We are now on the last lap of the race. Brando Pozzi on the way to claiming pole position for the super final later on this afternoon. This has been a very good performance in tough conditions here at Lonato. Some of the heaviest levels of spray and standing water on the circuit that we've seen throughout the race week for Super Rok. Coming into the last sector now, already into the last sector, is Brando Pozzi. Just needs to bring this one home to claim pole position for the super final. The groundwork has been laid. We'll see whether the Italian can bring home the title later on this afternoon. Brando Pozzi wins the pre-final in Super Rok, and it's a Ferrari kart 1-2. Kuba Rajski will also be alongside his teammate on the front row of the grid for the final. Bogunovic is back on form, a gain of 2, finishes 3rd. That means that the Slovenian will be on the 3rd row of the grid for the final later on this afternoon. Jevac in 4th. He'll start from the inside of row number 2 with results provisionally standing. Good race from Mohamed Wali as well from South Africa. The 6:26 finished 5th in that race. Will be up there on the higher rows for the final later on today. Currently due to be on the outside of row number 3. Kalanika 6th. Riccardo Ferrari in 7th. Riccardo Ferrari, who was 2 laps away from taking a heat win yesterday, but then had a mechanical flag which wasn't served. It, of course, ended up being a disqualification for Ferrari, but keep an eye on the M2 kart there, the 602. It'll start on the 4th row of the grid for the final and is very, very quick indeed. Maxi Rafalik in 8th. Domenico Cicconini in 9th. Your biggest mover in that race was Alessandro Cocozza, up 9 places and into the top 10. Zachary Taylor in 11th, ahead of Martiniello, Favero, Baruti and Copatelli. That was the top 15. Good drive as well from Vittorio Maria Russo, up 7 places to 16th. Riccardo Cocozza has had a very up and down week. Unfortunately, that was a bit of a down that time. Lost 5 places and finished 17th. Davali, Cardinali and Gritti all in the top 20. Pascal, Paletti and Bolinini, the rest of the finishers. 3 retirements in that race, or 3 retirements who completed laps there, that is. Donkey, Desario and Roger, as mentioned. Quinones did not complete a lap of the course. For Super Rok, we will see their final later today, of course. It will be the in the middle of the runs for our finals. The drivers will go out onto the pre-grid at 2:35 local time here in Italy, and then the race will start 5 minutes later at 2:40. Good start there, Daniele, particularly for Brando Pozzi. That was another impressive performance. Got through all the heats, got through the pre-final. Has been no lower than 3rd so far this week.
Yeah, he just didn't really need to win this one, but he showed that the pace is there, also in these conditions, and he showed that he is ready to win. So he is the guy that probably anybody else wants to beat in the final this afternoon. A good race also by Bogunovic. He probably understand that didn't really need to overtake Rajski to improve his position. That's all about the points and the stuff for the starting grid. So probably he kept something for this afternoon.
Absolutely. The rest of the running order for this morning and the early part of this afternoon, as we go through these pre-finals, regular viewers of the ROK Cup Superfinal, if you're just joining us, this is the part of the new format. So the normal trophy races that take place on the morning, in previous editions of the ROK Cup Superfinal, for drivers who haven't quite made it through to the main finals, the super finals later on in the afternoon. There is the opportunity here, as we move on to the juniors, for drivers who didn't quite make it into the top 36. Unlike previous years, they've got this pre-final coming up, Daniele, where they can, with a good performance, if they're starting in the second half of the field, move their way through and make the cut, make it into the top 36. So I quite like this format. It gives drivers, particularly who had a tough time in qualifying, it gives them something to strive for.
Yeah, you still have a chance. You still have a chance after all. You still have a chance if you have some problems back in the week. You had your chances to get back, climb back the ladder, and try to stay there to be there for the final. Of course, it's going to be different between the categories. Some of them are all included in the final. Some of the others need to go through the cutoff. But yeah, I agree with you. It's a good format.
This is the biggest grid biggest category here today. 101 drivers started the race week hoping to be Superfinal champions. 72 of them remain. And the first pre-final heads out onto circuit. Let's take you through the grid for this one. Guido Badoli starts on pole position. Tomasz Chikaraki starts alongside on row 1. Kasper Reipold for MG Team Racing starts on row 2, is joined by his compatriot from Poland, Natan Wyczynski. Remek Samczyk and Ethan Lennon start on the third row of the grid. Matthias Wahl and Oskar Hildebrandski start on row 4. It's a Polish-dominated front part of the grid. That's 6 Polish drivers in the top 8. Federico Spadolati from Italy is alongside Christian Romeo there on row 5. Ettore Sanesi and Sebastian Gurndal-Eels start on row 6. Francesco Cocci and Giulio Mazzolini start on row 7. Maxim Becker and Milos Smut go from row 8. The last of the rows for drivers currently inside the top 36 in the point standings overnight is row 9. It's Ilyas Mitaki and Oleg Mrozik. They'll be trying to defend those positions and stop the following drivers beating them into the final top 36. So those needing to move forward in this race, we start with row 10. Francisco Figueroa starts alongside Tudor Jerkan. Row 11, Lillian Scarborough and Frederick Flood Engebretson. Oscar Kimmel and Konrad Garrow go from row 12. Valerio Villapiana and Boris Blazczyk go from row 13. Jack Moore and Enrico Villa start on row 14. Sionia Krivoyuk and Issa Serra start on row 15. Fion Shi and Paul Becker go from row 16. Leon Larson and Matteo Mason on row 17. Franco Paolini and Micah Saccio complete the 36-strong field. Typically with this kind of format, Daniele, I tend to see anyone in that, if we're looking at the second half of the field, the 4 rows, row 10 to 13, those are the ones I would give a reasonable chance of, if they can have a really good race here, and we're talking gaining 10, 12, 15 positions, that's the kind of race that can overturn the deficit that they've currently got. Into the tram lines go the juniors. We're going to go round again. That's not an equal start across the front row. And our race director, Pasquale Lupoli, sends them round for another formation lap.
It is that kind of format, especially because there's another one of the pre-finals. There will be 2 pre-final for the Junior Rock, 2 pre-final for the Mini Rock, and for the Senior Rock too. So that's what can change a little bit from what we usually see here at the Super Final, right? Oh, watch out, because there's a spin in the formation lap. Like I was saying, it changed things, and it's also going to be a challenging moment for the start, because we learned that in this condition, in wet conditions, the inside line, let's say the right line on the grid, the line where is not the poleman, it could be tricky. There's some pods in there, especially at the very beginning of the straight, at the last turn and going on. So it's going to be a tough start for all the drivers in that column of the grid. Sarà una partenza complessa e da gestire, quindi giustamente il nostro direttore di gara Pasquale Lupoli si sta prendendo tutte le garanzie che le partenze vengano fatte in maniera adeguata. C'è ovviamente frenesia, c'è anche una linea che si sente particolarmente in difficoltà a volte sulle ripartenze, e infatti andiamo un'altra volta perché lo schieramento è sfilacciato. Ci sono un po' di pozzanghere sulla linea, quella opposta alla pole, diciamo quella più vicina all'interno della pista, e questo magari porta alcuni piloti a dare un po' di gas prima perché sentono di partire eccessivamente svantaggiati, però insomma bisogna stare chiaramente in linea per partire. Allora, questo altro giro di formazione per Bidoli, per Cikoraki, per Raipold, per Rybczynski, per Samasic. Come dicevamo, il format dà una chance un po' a tutti in questo frangente, specie in una categoria come la Junior Rock, che è stata molto equilibrata, che avrà anche l'altra prefinale ovviamente, e che sarà sostanzialmente giocata sul filo dei punti, perché sono molti piloti lì vicini, per capire veramente non solo chi partirà in pole, ma anche chi sarà vicino, prima, seconda, terza fila. Ci potrà essere qualche ribaltone, e vedremo anche la condotta di gara di questi piloti con quest'ottica. Vediamo se stavolta soprattutto si riuscirà a incolonnarsi in maniera ordinata rispetto alle proprie indicazioni di partenza, non al via. Intanto Federico Sbardellati, almeno questo ci segnala il monitor dei tempi, salvo che non ci sia un problema col transponder. 6 minuti più un giro, stavolta è buona la partenza e si comincia. Ottimo lo scatto di Bidoli e Raipold dal lato della pole, ottimo scatto per loro, ottimo lavoro in partenza. Vanno sulla prima parte del primo settore, che non è eccessivamente insidiosa, è una di quelle meno insidiose dal punto di vista delle pozzanghere, della pioggia e tutto il resto, però qualche situazione da tenere d'occhio ce l'ha. Si va in curva 4, si va a chiudere al tornantino tutto sommato tranquilli, qualche testa coda tra alcuni dei piloti. Credo Francesco Coci, peccato perché è stato un po' sfortunato nel corso di questa settimana, sicuramente ha mostrato grande velocità, credo ha tardato anche Krivoj Ryuk, che non vediamo transitare neanche all'ultimo intertempo, mentre il gruppo del leader passa lì e inizia a infilarsi al pettine. Come al solito, buona partenza di Ethan Lennon, che sta subito provando a recuperare posizioni. Ha passato un po' la settimana a fare i rimontoni in virtù di una qualifica non brillantissima, ma si sta decisamente rialzando ed è lì pronto a recuperare dei buoni punti per scalare ancora la griglia di partenza. Bidoli, Samsic, Raipold, Lennon, Cikoraki scivolato in quarta posizione con Rybczynski in sesta, Hildebrandski, Sanesi, Grundales, Romeo, Becker, Mazzolini e via via tutti gli altri. Una buona partenza di Guido Bidoli, nessuno è al sicuro dal punto di vista della pole position, serve fare lo 0, serve fare meno punti possibili. Nessuno è tranquillo neanche dal punto di vista della qualificazione. Un completo 360 lì completato in curva 4, credo da Wall, sì, esatto, si trattava di Wall, che perde un po' di terreno. Nobody is safe looking at the pole position and all the starting grid. Nobody is safe to make it through or not.
Unless you're very much the front of the order, you've got to be careful about any kind of mistakes in a pre-final like this. In terms of that final, if Bidoli does win this race, he would take pole position for the final even before we see pre-final B out on circuit. Just a quick review of those who've had problems. Unfortunately, Federico Sbardellati has not taken the start in this one. Sonia Krivoyuk also had a problem in the first sector on the first lap, so she no longer continues, unfortunately. Also problems for Matthias Val. Now, where did Matthias start? Matthias started in 7th place. Might be okay. That's the kind of position. If you're in that top 5 row section, even a bad race here, there tends to be, remember, all these drivers have had 5 heats so far this weekend. There's a lot of points that have been accumulated, so there's a bit of field spread in those intermediate classification points. So even a bad one here. It's the same point system as well. There's no double points for the pre-final. It's the same length as a normal heat. So 0 points for win, 2 for second, 3 for third, etc., down through the field. So I think Val will be okay, but again, will not be as high up for the grid for the final as they have been in this race. Back at the front, Ethan Lennon having a good ROK Cup Superfinal here. He's just set the fastest lap of the race, so 1 minute 6.841. and is all over the back of Bidoli here. The key for Bidoli, if he were to lose the lead, Daniele, that would open the door for one driver in particular, Yugoslav Roykov, who will be on pole position for pre-final B. Ethan Lennon, if he can find a way through, he could influence who starts on pole here for the final.
It really is, and there's a lot of drivers that... another spin here at the first part of the track. There's a lot of drivers that want to be up front because they need a zero, they need low points. That's what probably Roykov is betting on, to have Bidoli scoring some points and have an easier match pre-final after it. Chiaramente appunto una corsa anche contro il resto dei piloti che aspettano di partire con la loro pre-finale tra pochissimo. 1:15 al termine intanto con Bidoli. Lennon che è risalito in seconda posizione, adesso sta provando a, come dire, mettersi in testa di andare a insidiare, e probabilmente a breve lo farà davvero. Bidoli, poi Samsic e Reipold sono poco distanti. Il più veloce in pista nelle ultime due tornate è stato sempre Ethan Lennon, 1:6,690, così iniziamo ad avere anche dei riferimenti temporali che potranno essere cronometrici, che potranno essere utili anche nella prefinale successiva, con Lennon che si avvicina. È stato il più veloce in pista, come dicevamo prima, ha recuperato un decimo a Bidoli, adesso è attaccato al leader della corsa, e parlando di attaccare, probabilmente è imminente il tentativo di offensiva da parte del pilota sudafricano. Scelta di traiettoria diversa sull'ultima curva e si prova a dar gas prima. Lennon è appiccicato, ma Bidoli risponde con un grande tempone, 1:6,533, per provare a fuggire, tra virgolette, a scappare, a prendere un po' di margine rispetto al suo inseguitore. E il giro che completeranno Bidoli e Lennon, e di conseguenza tutti gli altri, sarà quello che darà poi il via all'ultima tornata. Ingresso in due lì nella battaglia nelle retrovie, battaglia tra Cikoraki, Debransky, Samsi e Rybczynski. Sono tutti molto vicini anche lì a giocarsi posizioni fondamentali. Ethan Lennon chasing Bidoli, and they are coming through for the starting of the last lap, so it's now or never for Lennon.
It is indeed. Good drives through the middle of the pack that could potentially be pulling drivers into the top 36. Jack Moore is up 11 spots from the 14th row of the grid. Mario Viviana is also 10 spots. Scarborough up 7. That's 3 other drivers who were on the outside of the top 36 at the start of this one, who with these performances are going to need a little bit of luck. A little bit of luck from the racing gods, but could still be making their way through. We are on the last lap of the race. Bidoli is still your race leader. Lennon there in second place. Bidoli knows if you just hold on here, that is going to be pole position for the final. Lennon knows as well, every position is key. Lennon's having a look down the inside, going into the Pétonnet section for the first time, or the first one of them. That's a good move from Lennon. He's got through. Has Bidoli got anything in response? Does he take too many risks in this one, or is he just going to take second place and hope Roykov doesn't win his pre-final? Ethan Lennon is going to take another victory here, and I like the look of Ethan Lennon's pace in this latter part of the ROK Cup Superfinal. Lennon wins. Bidoli finishes second. For now, that switches the order at the very top of the final phase scores. Bidoli drops to second, Roykov goes up to first, but again, Roykov, to stay there, has to win his pre-final. Reipold in third will be in another ROK Cup Superfinal. Final race was 10th in the mini ROK Superfinal last year, and will be well positioned for the junior final. has dropped to 6th in the points, but again, that's with another pre-final to run, so that could still yet improve for Right Pole. Chikaraki in 4th place will be another driver towards the front end of the field in the final. At the moment, sits 4th in the final intermediate classification, but that could again improve if drivers ahead and yet to race falter in their pre-final. Hildebrandski in 5th in that one. Rybczynski in 6th, another driver who will be towards the front of the order in the final, where in particular we'll wait and see. Gröndal Eels in 7th, Senesi in 8th, Mazzolini 9th, Romeo in 10th, Viapiana in 11th, a gain of 14. Now we have the nervous wait for drivers such as Valerio Viapiana, because that's a good result, has gone forward. Now we'll wait and see who's dropped down in this race and who potentially drops down in pre-final B. But it could well be that Viapiana has been able to pull back into the top 36. We will wait and see. Becker in 12th, Schmuck 13th, Rozik 14th, Samchik 15th. I think all of these drivers will be making it through to the top 36. Lillian Scarborough, good effort there, up 5 places for Lillian Scarborough for Ricky Flynn Motorsports. I'm not sure a gain of 5 positions is enough, but she wasn't far off making the top 36 earlier on. If there's a bit of attrition in pre-final B, then it could still be a chance that Scarborough makes it through. Similar for Jack Moore, up 10 places to 17th. We'll wait and see if that is enough. Frederick Flood, Enger Bretson 18th, Mitaki and Jerkin complete the top 20. Larson 21st, a gain of 12. Great effort from the Norwegian, but I think he's a little bit too far back in the intermediate classification overnight for that gain of 12 to result in a move into the final. Kimiel, Becker, Kochi and Figueroa complete the top 25. Garrow, Blazchik, Micah Satrio, Maddox Mason, Fionn Shi. We're into the drivers now who we will not see later on this afternoon, unfortunately. That's your top 30. Villa, Val, Paolini and Sarah, the last of the 34 finishers in that one. One retirement, which was Sonia Krivoyuk. One non-starter, which was Federico Spadolatti. That's pre-final A done with. Pre-final B is going to be up next, and another set of 36 drivers here at Lonato, trying to do the same job that we've just seen with the drivers in pre-final A. Can they make it through to the final later on this afternoon? And once again, the top 9 rows are all drivers who overnight, after the 5 rounds of qualifying heats that we've seen so far this week at Lonato, they are in. If any of those drivers in the top 36 move forward, they're just making their situations even better. They'll be gaining positions on that grid of 36 in the final. Trying to stop them, of course, will be the second half of the grid. Those drivers from row 10 downwards will need to be improving to make sure that their ROK Cup Superfinals don't end at this point. Thank you very much for joining us, Andrew Mather and Daniele Laspina, on commentary duties for you today. Formation laps underway then for Junior Rok's pre-final B. Let's take you through the grid. Yugoslav Roykov starts on pole position and has an opportunity here to take pole position for the final later on this afternoon, but can only do so with a race win. Fausto Arnardo joins on the front row of the grid. Melvin Kalustian has been very quick in race trim so far this week. This is the highest we've seen the Swedish driver start on the grid this week so far. Will be on the second row of the grid and joined by another driver who's had good race pace, Toby Gale for CRG. Olivier Mrak and Oscar Gallen start on row 3. Alan Jacobiak and Marlon De Salva go from row 4. Adrian Patepa and Ricardo Brangero start on row 5. Xavier Dudkovsky and Kai Burke go from row 6. Filippo Polla has had a bit of bad luck so far this week, but has got good pace for Zanki Motorsport. Starts on row 7 alongside Mara 61s and Tuhan Getty. Olivier Klopek starts on row 8 alongside the Philippines' Ryan Tsai. The last of the rows For drivers in the top 36 in the standings overnight is row 9. On it we find Stefano Zamponi and Angelo Pecoraro. Pecoraro was third on the podium in Mini Rok 12 months ago. Trying to move forward, trying to save their Superfinals. On row 10, it's Jan Michelexo and Noah Antonsen. Leonardo Lanza and Roberto Ronderos go from row 11. Shiriket Shirimonko Kasem starts on row 12 and is joined by Lena Pickler from Austria. Carson Daly and Dean Pedersen start on row 13. Martin Saar and Marek Livkowski go from row 14. Alberto Masoto and Cole Medeiros go from row 15. Ethan Seto and Victor de Alencar have the experience to move forward from row 16. They're ahead of Mark Zravic and Victoria Farfus on row 17. The last of the rows, row 18 in a 36-strong field, it's Julia Angelard and Michael Civecic. Into the tram lines, we are green and racing for the second time in the pre-finals for Junior Rok. Through the first couple of corners, out of our sight in the commentary box, and it looks like Roykov has had a decent start here. All of them have had a decent start. No yellow flags out, indicating that we're all good down into the first hairpin. This is where things can get a little bit frisky, though, particularly in the second half. The field drivers will be looking to make early progress in this one. I think there's been a few delays for Brangero and Michael Exo, but they're still running. They're through sector number 1 and all good. Roykov leads through the S's for the first time, and a steady start there, Daniele.
A steady start, and it feels like I don't know if it's an advantage or not, but drivers like Roykov and the others already know that the result from the other pre-final, so they can kind of try to understand where to end up in this one to get what they want. Vedremo se entra in gioco anche il fatto che i piloti di questa pre-final sanno più o meno dove arrivare, se hanno fatto più o meno i calcoli per ottenere il passaggio del turno, la posizione che vogliono. Di sicuro poi farci i conti in pista è un'altra cosa. Ottima la partenza di Roykov intanto con Kaluslan che cerca di stare al passo. Arnaudo, Gale, Mrak di Salvo a seguire con un buono spunto dei primi due, che stanno già provando ad allontanarsi il più possibile da eventuali altri contendenti. Vedremo se opteranno per una situazione del genere, cioè di provare a non darsi fastidio nelle prime tornate per creare un piccolo ma sostanzioso gap nei confronti di Arnaudo in questo momento e degli altri piloti che seguono, per avere il vantaggio di potersi giocare le proprie carte in questa maniera. Potepa intanto con Jakobiak, che è andato in vicino allo scontrarsi con lui. Jakobiak ha dovuto chiudere il gas in apertura di rettilineo, ha perso una manciata, un paio di posizioni, mentre l'impressione anche dalla nostra cabina è quella che comunque la pioggia continua a essere incessante, anche qualche volta aumenta un filino di intensità, e questo ovviamente porta a maggiore cautela nelle manovre dei piloti. Adesso ci siamo veramente molto vicini con Roykov e Kalusian, mentre arriva una warning flag all'indirizzo di Brangero che, come detto, come diceva Andrew, anche un po' sfortunato nelle scorse giornate, deve provare a inventarsi, insomma, un po' una rimonta in questo frangente per recuperare delle posizioni, sia inteso in pista sia inteso per la griglia di partenza. Scattato piuttosto in ritardo rispetto a dovere, adesso deve un po' risalire la china, e chiaramente non era l'inizio di sabato che avrebbe voluto vivere. Roykov, Kalusian, Arnaudo, Gale, Mrak, Kalusian che ha fatto segnare un ottimo giro, 1.05.8 insieme a Roykov, 1.05.8 anche per Arnaudo. Non sono riusciti ad allontanarsi, uno sull'1.6, Gale sull'1.7 basso, praticamente poi gli altri inseguitori. Seems like Arnaudo is the only one that is trying to keep that pace, the pace by Ruikov and Kaluzdian, and let's see if he can improve it and get back on them, and or if maybe when Kaluzdian and Ruikov start to battling on the field, he can get back on it.
We'll wait and see. 1 minute and 45 seconds to go on time, and Ruikov doing what he needs to do right now to take pole position. The gap is about 7.5 tenths back to Kaluzdian. Kaluzdian, with this drive at the moment, would be getting up onto the third row of the grid for the final. Bidoli will be alongside Ruikov. Chikaraki and Arnaldo would be on row 2. Fausto Arnaldo has had a solid week so far. 1.75 seconds off the back of the race leader. Who's potentially racing their way through? What's happening in the middle of the field? Well, Carson Daly's giving it a good go. Is up 11 places to 14th. Similarly, Martin Saar. So those are two drivers who started on rows 13 and 14. Daly up 11, Saar up 12. That's giving them a chance. It's not guaranteeing that they'll be in the top 36 and making it through to the final once all the points are tallied up, but you never know. There's been a problem through sector number 1 out of our window. I think it might be Masato who's had a bit of a spin. Unfortunately, Masato is down in 29th place. End of another lap, 30 seconds to go, so there'll be 2 more laps of this one. Ruikov still leads. The gap is coming down. Kaluzdian has just done the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 5.633. That was 2.5 tenths quicker than Ruikov last time around. A little bit further down the order in the top 10 still. DeSalvo's up 2 to 6th place. Burke and Pola as well have both gained 5 places to 7th and 8th respectively. So it's Ruikov from Kaluzdian. Arnaldo, Gale, Mrak, DeSalvo, Burke, Pola, Patepa and Gallen. That is your top 10. The trouble for Kaluzdian, though, is I think also the level of spray being kicked up off the back of Ruikov's karts, that whenever the Swedish driver gets close to Ruikov, very, very difficult for him to even see where he's going right now. Probably can't tell that as much from the TV cameras, but trust me, it is going to be a factor for them out there. Out to the final corner on this penultimate lap of the race. On to the last lap. Ruikov still leads by 0.5 of a second. The spray will almost be acting as a bit of a wall to Kaluzdian, because especially with these positions, they're good positions for both of these drivers. They won't want to take too many risks at this stage and potentially spoil things for the start of their finals, which could be in similar conditions as well. Through turns 6 and 7 go the race leaders. Kaluzdian trying a subtly different line there to Ruikov through turn 7. Isn't quite able to close up to the back of the Bulgarian. I've got to say, I've been very impressed with Yugoslav Ruikov's pace this weekend. He would fully deserve a spot on the front row of the grid. There are yellow flags out at turn 7. There's at Marshall post 7. There's driver off to driver's left who's going to go a lap down. Not a problem for Ruikov though. Ruikov out to the final corner, is on pole for the final, wins pre-final B in Junior Rok, and jumps Bidoli in the final phase as all the points are tallied up. Another great drive from Melvin Kaluzdian. He will be a factor in the final. We'll start it from the third row of the grid. Fausto Arnaldo will be there as well. Third in the pre-final means he'll be on the outside of row number 2 for the super final later on this afternoon. Good drive from Toby Gale as well. Keep an eye on the Thai driver in the 288 there. Another strong top 5. Will be rewarded with a 4th row start on the outside there. Oliver Mrak in 5th, Marlon DeSalvo 6th, Kai Burke, Pola, Patepa and Gallen all in the top 10. Jakub Biak, Daly, Dudkovsky, Zamponi and Pecoraro in the top 15. We'll wait and see if that's enough for Daly. That was a good drive from Daly, up 13 spots to 12th. Banjero in 16th ahead of Lanza, Saar, Chirimonko Kasem and Pedersen. That's your top 20. Renderos 21st. Zvaric in 22nd ahead of Medeiros, Pickler, Antonsen in the top 25. Civedic in 26th place ahead of De Alencar, Rangetti, Lipkovsky, Klopek, Angelard, Farfus, Seto, and Sai, the last of the finishers, 2 retirements in that race, who were Makalexo and Masoto. We're going to take a short break in the comments here. Don't go anywhere. More racing coming up here at Lonato. Rok SVR out next.
Regia, ci sentite? Ora sento, sì. Si ritorna in pista con questa Rok SVR, la novità di quest'anno, di questa Superfinal, perché motore nuovo per un passo avanti ulteriore, motore più affidabile, più potente, questo nuovo 125 senza grosse sorprese. Ovviamente è un motore che va molto forte, e devo dire che parlando coi piloti nei scorsi giorni c'è gradimento per questo nuovo propulsore. Rok SVR che appunto scende in pista. Torniamo in una situazione che abbiamo già visto e che vedremo di nuovo nel corso di questa prefinale, ovvero sia sono importanti le posizioni per il posizionamento nella griglia di partenza, ma c'è solo questa prefinale per la Rok SVR, poi ci sarà la finalissima questo pomeriggio. Jacob Mikalev scatterà dalla pole in questa prefinale. Ottima la sua condotta durante tutta la settimana, direi, e non a caso scatta in pole in questa, e il pilota con meno punti e che quindi punta a scattare poi anche oggi pomeriggio dalla stessa piazza. Mike Prejala, una settimana in crescendo per lui al suo fianco, poi Davide Lombardo e Sergio Koch in seconda fila, Elia Galvanin e Theo Kroyen in terza fila, Simone Taccola e Matt Hamilton in quarta, Chianan Audet e Pietro Santese in quinta, Piotr Brovchik e David Biros in sesta, Thomas Gröndales e Dorian Bressaker in settima, Sugli Bay e Quentin Foissier in ottava, poi ancora Parlapiano, Bogoyu, Klausen, Banak, Strumen, Penivsky, Olesinska, Strumen con Ulrich prima e Nora poi, Stenzel, Alize, Gulman, Wang e Brian Lee. Questa è la griglia di partenza, ma c'è un altro giro di formazione da fare, e c'è un'altra allora c'è ancora un po' di tempo per avventurarci in questa SVR, perché appunto sarà molto interessante vedere quale sarà la condotta di gara dei piloti, perché in ottica griglia appunto non c'è la preoccupazione del taglio, ma in ottica posizione c'è la preoccupazione di dove partire, e ci sono distanze tali per cui Mikalev, Prahila, Lombardo, Koch possono guadagnare davvero con 1-0 e, come dire, fare calcoli su quello che succederà agli altri piloti, soprattutto appunto a loro che occupano le prime 4 posizioni, poi Galvanin, Kroyen, Taccola, Hamilton e gli altri. Però insomma potrebbe ad un certo punto non essere così fondamentale, cambiare così la vita, arrivare secondo, terzo, quarto, insomma vedremo come si comporteranno nel finale, anche se ovviamente la voglia di vincere e di far bene c'è comunque. Si è un po' allentata la morsa della pioggia in pista, anche se ovviamente restano delle condizioni del tutto simili a quelle che abbiamo vissuto fino a questo momento. Vediamo se stavolta la partenza è buona, vediamo se in questa occasione di questa Rok SVR siamo pronti a dare il via alle danze. Mikalev dalla pole, Parihala dalla seconda posizione, Lombardo e Koch alle loro spalle. Stavolta è buona la partenza, ed è un'ottima partenza di Mikalev, di Lombardo e anche di Galvanin, che prova subito a inserirsi, a cercare di prendere e conquistare metri, oltre che di ridurre il suo gap in termini di punti. Si passa in curva 3, occhio a qualcuno che rischia di mettere le ruote fuori posto, e con l'erba bagnata è un pericolo ancora maggiore. Si entra in curva 4, c'è un testacoda alla curva di fronte alla pit lane tra i piloti nelle retrovie. Dovrebbe trattarsi di Yibei Sun, mentre lì davanti l'ottimo scatto di Mikalev gli fa conservare la prima posizione, con Davide Lombardo al suo inseguimento. Si va verso il pettine con qualche sgondolata. Abbiamo visto tanti incidenti, tanti testacoda ieri in quel tratto, perché in uscita c'è parecchia acqua tra l'infield, diciamo, e la pista, e quindi si rischia davvero con qualche centimetro di margine di finire in cattive condizioni, in cattive acque forse verrebbe da dire, ma insomma tanto scivola piuttosto indietro Hamilton, che finisce piuttosto indietro, non una gran partenza la sua, mentre si prosegue a correre. It's a tie standings between Mikalev, Parihala, Lombardo and Koch, and at some point of the race, let's see what happened there. If they are there in the top 4 spots, it could be not that important to gain a position or not, because they are close, not close enough that a single point can make the difference.
Risk versus reward.
Yeah.
We often talk about with these strings of heats that you're absolutely right, Daniele. It could be one of those scenarios where gaining position on track in this pre-final doesn't actually gain you anything in terms of where you start the final. So that's what we're talking about. That the reward is pretty low, but in these conditions the risk is pretty high. 5 minutes and 40 seconds to go in this one. Mikalev leads not only on the road in this pre-final for the new Rok SVR category, but also in the point standings. His advantage is 8 points over Parhehala. Parhehala currently down in 4th place in this race. Took 2 heat wins in the last 2 rounds. So we know that Parhehala has some good form. Has been no lower than 8th so far this week. And as we say, this is a new category for the ROK Cup Superfinal. The Rok SV engine launched earlier this year. This is his first appearance in this invitational category. So all of these drivers have a lot of experience. Your race leader, for example, was in the junior category 12 months ago. And the engine has been the latest one from the ROK line of engines. It's another single-cylinder 125cc engine. It's already raced across the continent, particularly in France. It's done a good bit of endurance racing as well as more sprint style that we're seeing here in the ROK Cup Superfinal. 4.5 minutes to go, change of lead. Lombardo has found a way through past Mikalev. It doesn't change the order in terms of who's got pole position. Mikalev just loses a bit of his advantage. But that move for Lombardo does mean that Lombardo's now on the front row potentially for the final. Daniele hops ahead of Parhehala. So that is a good move for Lombardo. Gets him onto the front row of the grid. So let's see if the Italian can now start to pull away.
Let's see. It's important for all the drivers behind to gain position. So it's also a defensive race for the top driver from anybody else that's trying to attack them. Otherwise, it could be there will be a mix for the starting grid for the finals this afternoon. 3 minuti e 30 al termine di questa prefinale, con Lombardo a guidare davanti a Mikalev e a Galvanin, che sta provando a infilarsi in mezzo, così come lo sta facendo Taccola in quinta posizione tra Pariala e Koch. Legittimamente, chiaramente cerca di recuperare posizioni, specialmente nella posizione loro ci sono state un paio di battute a vuoto, diciamo così, e può essere importante, se non in ottica punti, ma magari anche in ottica punti, senza fare troppi calcoli, ma anche solo per ritrovare ancora più fiducia in vista della finale di oggi. L'attacco alla chicane da parte di Pariala su Galvanini, e c'è il duello per la terza posizione, mentre arriva l'indicazione che Thomas Gröndal-Els è sotto indagine da parte dei commissari di gara. Ancora il testa a testa che prosegue nelle curve del pettine tra Galvanini e Pariala, con Pariala che risponde al tentativo di Galvanin di ritornare davanti e riconquista la terza posizione. Intanto registriamo il ritiro di Theo Crierion fuori dalla gara, il pilota francese, mentre adesso prosegue la corsa dei primi 5, poi che appunto sono Lombardo, Mikalev, Pariala, Galvanin e Taccola, poi Koch e Naudé piuttosto vicini ai due elvetici, così come Doran Bresac e Santese, anche loro in lotta per le rispettive posizioni. Eccolo qua il quartetto che segue Koch e Naudé, cercano di colmare il gap, 1.35 al termine, poi ovviamente il giro supplementare. Quiet moment of the race for the top 10 positions.
Yeah, they're taking it nice and calmly in these tough conditions, because we have seen a couple of drivers in trouble. Unfortunately, Theo Kawajanan has fallen off the road and will still make the final. This is similar to what we saw with the Super Rok category earlier on this morning. All drivers on this grid will take part in the final. There's no top 36 cut-off in this one because we've got less than 36 runners, of course. But Kawajanan, who started on the third row of the grid, is out of this one. Lombardo still leads. Has just gone purple through sector number 1 and is a second clear almost of Mikalev. Pachrihala is back up to third. Now that has pulled Lombardo and Lombardo and Pachrihala into a tie on points. And that is when we then look back all the way to Wednesday and the timed qualifying performance. Lombardo's was quicker than Pachrihala. To remind myself, Lombardo was 4th in that timed qualifying session, whilst Pachrihala was 14th. So at the moment, it is still Lombardo who would be on the front row of the grid. But if Pachrihala was able to find a way past Mikalev, that would change things. That would put the Finn back onto the front row of the grid, irrespective of Lombardo winning this race. Good drives out there. Look to 11th place, and Ulrich Sturman, one of two Sturmans, brother and sister, on this grid. And Ulrich Sturman is up to P11. Great drive there from the Norwegian, and Nora Sturman has also gained positions in this race. Started a little bit further back and is now up into the top 20. Time is up. Not quite on the final lap yet of this pre-final for Rok SVR, and the first appearance in the ROK Cup Superfinals history for the Rok SVR category. I think the drivers have enjoyed racing with this engine. Pooled engines, we should mention as well. So all the drivers know that the engines are sealed, that they're correct and fair across the board. We are now on the final lap of the race. Pachrihala has found a way through. Just check that over the line. Pachrihala has found a way through past Mikalev. That's important. That now means that Pachrihala is now back onto the front row of the grid. He's on to 15 points. Lombardo can only get 16 or worse. So Pachrihala is doing the business at the moment to be back on the front row of the grid for the final later on today. Mikalev is third. I don't think it's particularly a worry for Mikalev, because Mikalev will just be trying to take this nice and easy, knowing that that he's still got a 3-point lead ahead of Pachrihala in the point standings. Leaders into the last couple of corners, and this is looking like it's going to be a win for Davide Lombardo. A brilliant race here from the Italian. Start on the second row of the grid. Lombardo wins. Pachrihala fights back to second place. Mikalev with third confirms that the driver from Malta will be on pole position for the Rok SVR Superfinal later on this afternoon. Galvin in fourth, Takola fifth, Koch in sixth, Nade Santesi, Dorian there in ninth place in the 9-10. That's Dorian Brisacher there with a good performance. Also a good performance from the 9.25. Ulrich Sturman up a number of positions, just missing out on the top 10 though, to the 9.21 of Quentin Fawasier there. So Fawasier finishes 10th, Sturman 11th, Borovchik in 12th, Stengel in 13th place. All of these drivers, of course, will be again out in the final. Potentially with these results, they'll have elevated where they start on the on the final grid compared to what we've just seen there in the pre-final. Parlapiano 14th, Berrios 15th, Gurndal Eels 16th ahead of Hamilton, Boju, Nora Sturman, Clausen, that was your top 20, and one position gained for Dimitro Penkivsky in 21st place, Eber Banak in 22nd, Helen Wang 23rd. Difficult race for Sun Yibei in 24th ahead of Brian Lee. Those were your 25 finishers. Retirements out there for Kerry Zhaoan, Alicia Olensinska, and also a non start as well for the 911 of Elise Gilmer. So Rok SVR will have their final, of course, later on this afternoon. They are due out for the pre-grid ceremony at 2:05 local time here, and then their final will start 5 minutes later at 2:10, 10 minutes past 2. Should stress though that is a timetable that is provisional and subject to change, as we know that the weather has been non-compliant with our wishes, I'll say, so far this week at Lenato. But keep it locked here on the broadcast. We switch our attention to the youngest category of all, and again something new for this year's ROK Cup Superfinal. The Mini Rok Under 10 category are out next. So out onto track go the Mini ROK under 10 category. They've had 3 heats so far this week. Now it's time for their pre-final, which will see the scores from the last 3 days carry over, be combined with the results from this one, and set the grid for the final later on this afternoon. Jay Kostecki has been awesome so far this week and starts on pole position. David Moscardi was the fastest driver in times qualifying on Wednesday afternoon. Will start alongside on the front row. Colton Schniegenberg starts on row 2 from the United States for Ward Racing. He's joined by Johannes Buchhammer, Giulio Mazzoni and Platon Kovtunenko start on row 3. Vincente De Silva and Maddox Mason go from row 4. Alexander Pelikansky starts alongside Mohamed Fadi Abbas Wabowo. That's your 5th row of the grid. Farrell Dugar Barretta starts on row 6 alongside Andreas Dragao. Basku Prikop Radu starts on row 7 next to Robert Pulbert. Vin Goldschalk and Alessio Ottaviani start on row 8. Eduardo Trainer and Logan Billow starts on row number 9. Daniel Hakkinen and Antonio Martin starts on the 10th row of the grid. Aris Lutu and Zach Boshov start on row number 11. Anna Malcolm and Victor Goran go from row 12. Carsten Sir has had some good races so far this weekend. Starts on row 13 alongside Cruz Priolo. Isco Alonso and Noah Cronje start on row 14. Leo Kralev and Michael Vino Satrio start on row 15. Nikolai Pietrus and Demir Halilovic start on row 16. Riley Van Staden and Ghazi Al-Makdad start on row 17. Alexander Sebura and Resat Altinor start on row 18. 36 drivers. Youngest field in the order. All drivers born after the 1st of January 2014 to be eligible for this class. It's the same Mini ROK package that we have seen for a good few years. Produces some fantastic racing. The question is, can any of these drivers stop the unbeaten streak of Jay Kostecki? He's taken all 3 heats so far this week. Moscardi has been second in every one of those as well. Into the tram lines. Are we good for a start? No, not quite this time. We'll go around again for another formation lap.
Gara della Mini ROK pronta a partire, giro di formazione extra. Allora, i più giovani in pista, perché Mini ROK Under 10 che comincia il filotto. Poi avremo le 2 prefinali invece della Mini ROK. Questa è appunto la categoria dei più giovani, ma il pacchetto da gara è lo stesso. Dal monitor dei tempi ci risulta il rientro in pit lane di Da Silva per quanto riguarda la griglia di partenza, che vede senza troppe sorprese per chi ha seguito le sessioni di questa settimana Jay Kostecki scattare dalla pole position, David Moscardi al suo fianco, poi Colton Scheinberg e Johannes Buchhammer per quanto riguarda la seconda fila, terza fila con Giulio Manzoni e Platon Kovtunenko. Vedremo se stavolta la partenza è buona. Dovrebbe essere ritornato in pista Vicente Da Silva. Vediamo un kart che sta recuperando il gruppo in pista, mentre il doppio serpentone si sta avvicinando alla parte finale e alla scorciatoia per immettersi sul rettilineo di partenza. Vediamo se lo scatto è buono stavolta. Semafori spenti, allora si parte ed è una buona partenza per Kostecki, Scheinenberg e Manzoni, con il lavoro fatto da Kostecki subito a guardarsi le spalle nelle primissime battute di questa corsa, a cercare, diciamo così, con gli occhi i propri avversari, e va subito a prendersi grande margine. Si entra 3-4 al tornantone. C'è l'incidente con 2 piloti piantati dopo il contatto, e poi anche altri piloti che arrivano colpiscono Wibowo, direi Drugao, che ho visto ripartire, Basescu anche dovrebbe essere ripartito. che spavento. Anche Wibowo riesce a riprendere la via del tracciato, però davvero un problema. C'è un pilota ritirato che credo sia il pilota che poi ha colpito gli altri due. Si tratta di Riley Van Staden. Peccato davvero per lui. Poi, come diceva giustamente prima Andrew, per questa categoria vale quello che abbiamo detto poco fa per la Rok SVR, tutti in finale, quindi lo rivedremo, avrà occasione di rifarsi. Allora, primo giro passato agli archivi con Kostecki al comando, Moscardi, Pelikanski, Scheinenberg e Buchhammer a seguire. Dopo quel contatto in curva 4 nessun grosso problema. Qui il tentativo di attacco di Scheinenberg verso Pelikanski, con il lavoro ottimo fatto subito da Kostecki e da Moscardi per prendere un pochettino di margine sugli altri due. So it has been a week where Kostecki was constantly the fastest pretty much every session, and one of the few drivers that can keep up with that is Moscardi, Andrew.
Yeah, it's been those two drivers ahead of the rest of the field, and for Jay Kostecki, he's dealt with the pressure really, really well so far this week. Moscardi is right there, though, putting the Australian under a lot of pressure at this point of the race. 3.5 minutes to go. Great drive from Pelikanski in this race as well. Has gained 4 places. Just lost third to Schneegenberg there. Colton Schneegenberg, who's had 4th and 8th so far this week. For Pelikanski, the results 6th and 27th. So a bit of a problem yesterday in the 3rd round of heats, but this is a good recovery from the driver racing for Paulan Poland. Paulan Poland, who have a lot of success over the years in the mini rock category. This part of this subclass, of course, is a new one for the specifically for under 10 drivers and under 10 years of age, but that's still a known package that is very competent at this level. Into the 3rd sector go the leaders. Kostecki still out front in the familiar position that we've seen so far this weekend. You see the drivers taking very wide lines through these 3 hairpins, which is a very deliberate decision, particularly for the 3rd of them. You can see the level of standing water on the inside of the track there, on the inside line. It's great to see how these young drivers are already driving so competently out there. It's very impressive indeed. Looking a bit further down the order, who's having a good race up through the field? 10 positions gained for the number 15, Aris Andrei Lutu from Romania for Real Racing. A brilliant drive as well from Ghazi Al-Mekdad for Turillian Motorsports. The Austrian is up 18 places and is knocking on the door of the top 15 now. Leaders going through the S's once again. Moscardi about a kart length to 2 kart lengths behind. And just to note some other drives up through the order where positions have been gained. Carsten Sir has just got 17th place ahead of Daniel Hakkinen. So Sir flying the flag for France, doing a good job there. Has gained 8 positions so far in this race. Another thing for the benefit of those watching the broadcast who've not perhaps been with us all week so far, Daniele, of what I particularly like about this class. We've always seen mini rock be a very big category, 75, 80, 90 drivers, and in previous years that's meant that some drivers haven't made it through to Saturday when it was in the old format of top 36 in the final and then the next 36 in a trophy consolation race. With this split of the under 10s and those 11 and 12, it means that everybody races through to Saturday. It means everybody gets that experience all the way through to the Superfinal, to the last race of the weekend for each driver, and I can only see that as a good thing for drivers at this age. 15 seconds to go. So we'll be close to the line here as to whether the drivers get another lap in or not, or whether they see the last lap board this time around. We're down to single figures in terms of seconds on the clock. Is this going to be the final lap? Yes, it is. Okay, so the timer just ticked over to 0 there before the drivers started this lap, so it will be the last one. Kostecki still leading by 0.6 of a second, and right now Daniele is on course for 4 wins in a row.
It is. Vediamo se questo finale ci riserva delle sorprese da qualche parte, perché davvero con i piloti così vicini, vediamo se adesso qualcuno tenterà il posto, anche perché sono i primi 3 della classifica a darsi battaglia. Kostecki prova a difendere su questo finale, passano sul cordolo Kostecki, Moscardi, Scheinenberg, tutti e 3 molto vicini. Ha martellato un paio di giri veramente impressionanti Scheinenberg per arrivare da Moscardi e Kostecki nelle ultime tornate. Vediamo se riuscirà a farli fruttare. Sembra esserci una distanza di sicurezza. Bandiera a scacchi lì. Kostecki vince davanti a Moscardi e a Scheinenberg, con il terzetto che guida la classifica che arriva davanti. Mason intanto su Pelikanski, e poi ancora Buchhammer, Kovtunenko, Puber, Manzoni, Goldschalk below. The first 3 drivers of the standing and the first 3 places of this races. It's pretty much what you can expect for this final.
Yeah, great drives from Jay Kostecki. Takes his 4th win of the weekend, of the whole race week, in fact. David Moscardi, 2nd place, will be alongside on the front row of the grid for the Superfinal later on this afternoon. And as you say, Daniele, Colton Schniegenberg from the United States finishes 3rd, will be on the inside of row number 2. When we get going later on this afternoon, and also set the fastest lap of the race there, 1 minute 11.450 right at the end. Good drive from Maddox Mason, up 4 places to 4th. Pelikanski home in the top 5 as well, also a gain of 4. Buchhammer in 6th. That means the Austrian will be on the outside of row number 2 for the final later on this afternoon. Kovtunenko down 1 to 7th, but still holds a spot. In fact, has gained in that phase of the competition, has gone from the outside of row number 3 to the inside of row number 3 for the final later on this afternoon. Pulbert in 8th place, good gain there of 6 positions. Manzoni in 9th, and Gottschalk as well there, up 5 to 10th. Billow in 11th, ahead of Goran. A good drive there from the 12th row of the grid, I think, for Victor Goran. Yes, indeed. So 24th to 12th. Good return on points there. Lutu up to 13th. Biggest gainer in that race, 20 positions for from the very back, pretty much, for Ghazi Al-Muqdad. We mentioned it earlier in the race, and it kept on going for the number 44 there, up in the end to 14th place. Ottavani completes the top 15. Sir, Trainer, Hakkinen, Alonso, and Dragao all record top 20 finishes. Malcolm in 21st. Balasco, Prikop, Radu finishes in 22nd. Priolo in 23rd. Konyi 24th. Pietras 25th. Halilovic, Motin, Boshov, Zebera, Dugas Beretta, all in the top 30. Wiwo in 31st, Satrio, and Kralev, the last of the finishers. 3 drivers did not see the checkered flag there. Vincente de Silva, Riley van Staden, and Resat Altinor. No problems for them, though. They'll still be able to take to the final grid. All 36 drivers we will see again later on this afternoon. And the Mini ROK final was scheduled. It'll be our first final, the Mini ROK Under 10 final. It'll be at 12:50 for the pre-grid rollout, and then 12:55 for the race itself. We stay with racing of a mini variety. We now turn back to pre-finals A and B in a category. This will be for Mini ROK up next, and we'll see them out on track in a short few moments' time.
why the guys told me
We didn't turn ourselves. Did you turn ourselves back on? Yeah.
as I was saying, they are working on it. Maybe they will send someone to see if there's something here.
Thank you.
Yeah. And they told us to be, of course, you can see it could be easier, but to be shorter at the end of the race because at some point they will need to do. Torniamo in pista con la mini Rok. 6 minuti più un giro anche per questa prefinale, la prefinale A di questa categoria, con il ritorno appunto a 2 prefinali che comporranno poi la griglia di partenza della finale, quindi qualche pilota resterà fuori ed è l'ultima occasione per rimanere dentro in questo frangente. Achille Rea a scattare dalla prima casella in pole position con Martin Bertolaccini al suo fianco, Blasey Kostreva e Giuseppe Noviello in seconda fila, Alessandro Nanni e Nicolas Orbeso in terza fila, Braxton Kruivenhager in quarta fila insieme a Marco Sammut, Odin Flora e Kasper Kluk in quinta fila, poi Jamie White e Mom Clio Davu, Augustin Feligioni e Juan Bugayong, poi ancora Stanislav Grabowski e Riker Magro, Ramiro Carreira e Jack Larsen, Pirapong Sutumno e Ashai Nakura, quindi Vincenzo Salierno, Sebastian Blignaut, Paul Plattner-Gerambe e Geronimo Zuluaga, Bastian Villarobos e Wojciech Koshevich, Leonard Uch e Sebastian de Musa, Santiago Frade, Asher Pavan e Luca Parashiv alla termine di questo schieramento. 6 minuti più un giro appunto per questa pre-finale, che ovviamente assegna gli ultimi punti per quanto riguarda questo gruppo di piloti. Rea perfect score fino a questo momento, 0 con tutte le manche cui ha preso parte conquistate. Altro giro di formazione e in questo momento Achille Rea ha sostanzialmente quello che potremmo definire il destino nelle proprie mani per quanto riguarda la griglia di partenza di oggi pomeriggio, perché appunto con lo 0 raccimolato fino a questo momento in sostanza può assicurarsi, indipendentemente da come andrà l'altra per finale, il primo posto in griglia. So Achille Rea has the chance to have the pole position without knowing anything about the pre-final B. He just need to still stay there with a perfect score so far. 0 points, won all the session, all the qualifying heats he ran. Nagure is a little bit late, meanwhile on the grid. So that's the perfect situation for Rea.
Fourth or higher will do the job for Achille Ray here, and I say he's got a 5-point advantage over Zach Zhu, and well, actually thinking about it, it'll be fifth or higher because Achille Ray was our pole position award winner from Wednesday. I will win any kind of tiebreaker should Achille Ray be in one. So mini Rok pre-final A, just going through the cut through into the tram lines in a short moment's time. Are we good for a race start? No, not quite. So we'll go round again for another formation lap. There is a cut-off in this one. That I say there's more than 36 drivers across the mini Rok category. So we will be keeping an eye on, again, it's that scenario of anyone on the top 9 rows. They are currently holding one of those 36 spots in the intermediate classification. Everybody else from row 10 downwards will be looking to further improve. But again, this is what I like about the format, is in a previous edition, those drivers in row 10 lower, i.e. 37th and lower in the points classification, they would have had a consolation race and that was it. There was no opportunity for them to race through. Achille Ray starts on pole position. Martin Bertolcini alongside on the front row. Boage Kostreva and Giuseppe Noviellos on row number 2. Alessandro Nani and Nicholas Orbezo start on row 3. Braxton Kraevanger and Marco Semmert start on row 6. Odin Flora and Kasper Kluk are in the top 10 at the start of this one. Jamie White and Monchillo Deval start on row number 6. Augustin Feligioni and Juan Bugiong start on row 7. Stanislav Grabkovsky and Riker Magro on row number 8. We are away in racing, 6 minutes plus 1 lap. Great start for Achille Ray from pole position. Immediately takes the lead of the race. It was a good start as well for Boage Kostreva. Kostreva, who had a difficult time in the third and final heat yesterday. Oh, Kostreva for a moment got ahead. Just ran a bit deep through turn number 4 into hairpin number 1, into turn 5 they go. Can they all make it through? Oh, not quite. 2 drivers off towards the back of the field. They'll get going again. I think it's Grabowski and Carrera who both started inside the top 9 rows. That's not good news for Grabowski and Carrera. Their chances of going through as part of the top 36 are now under a bit of threat. Carrera is yet to come through sector number 1, in fact now Carrera, so that there was a problem for Carrera even before they'd got to hairpin number 1. Back at the front of the field though, looks like Achille Ray has held on to the lead here. Remember, does not need to win this race. A top 4 will solidly do the job for Achille Ray. Boage Kostreva up 1 position to second. Who else has made a good start out there? You can see Augustin Feligioni is gained or has gained 4 places off the start, and also a positive start for one of the drivers trying to get themselves back into that top 36. It's Paul Platner Jaram, who's started on the 12th row of the grid and has gained 9 places on the start, so he's up to P14. Good start there, Daniele.
There's a technical flag for Paul Platner Geramba.
Goes to the commentator. There we go. That's the first one of the day.
He lost all the rear part of his bumper. All of this is out, so he needs to stop, of course. And apart from that, yeah, it was a good start, a clean start for pretty much everyone except Leonard Uch and Ramiro Carrera. That went spin. They touch each other and went spin at turn 5. È stata una buona partenza. C'è intanto la comunicazione che è sotto indagine Sébastien Demusa, con intanto anche la bandiera, la technical flag per quanto riguarda il pilota austriaco Paul Plattner-Geramba ha perso per intero praticamente il suo paraurti posteriore, quindi è costretto a fermarsi. Lo vediamo imboccare la pit lane in questo momento. Per quanto riguarda il resto della gara, insomma, prosegue l'assolo di Achille Rea. È stato ottimo in partenza, brillante in partenza, ed è riuscito a installarsi subito in prima posizione. Ha già accumulato 1 secondo e 3 di vantaggio nei confronti di Costrevo, a sua volta di una buona partenza alle sue spalle, di Nanni, molto bravo sullo spunto, Klevenhager, Noviello e Bertolaccini con un po' più di distanza ora rispetto a White, che ha recuperato anche la 7ª posizione, Feligioni e Flora con Davu in inseguimento. Adesso altro passaggio sul traguardo, 2 minuti e 27 al termine. Rea guida la corsa con 1:10 e 593 fatto segnare. Arriva la segnalazione, 3 secondi di penalità per Sébastien de Musat. Tre secondi di penalità e Rea, Costreva, Nanni, Noviello, Bertolaccini, Samut, Magro, Davu, Larsen, Sutmo e White che è riscivolato indietro in lotta lì intanto in 3 in uscita di curva 5, perché Bertolaccini e Noviello vogliono recuperare posizioni, mentre Achille Rea lì davanti continua a fare da battistrada. Nothing seems like to be able to stop Achille Rea right now.
No, Achille Rea looking in really, really good form this week. And the lead is 1.5 seconds now over Błażej Kostreva. Should note to anyone looking at the timing and scoring that drivers moving down in the order but have gone up in this race. This is because it will have some drivers who, of course, are halfway through their pre-final, and those that are yet to race. So Kostreva currently 6th in the intermediate classification. That's not bad. That's a situation that can only get better with this second place at the moment. Change for 3rd. Noviello has got through past Nani. So a good move there. 1:06 past the 1:48. Bertolaccini has lost a few places in this race, but I don't think that's a massive problem for the driver from Argentina. At the moment, Bertolaccini is 4th in the point standings. Again, like Kostreva, that is a situation that can only further improve with drivers ahead yet to run. And such is the performance of Achille Rea here, Daniele, that Achille Rea has now started putting drivers off the lead lap. There has been a problem for Odin Flora in this race from Denmark, but well, that is just showing the relentless pace that Rea is keeping up here. Last time around a 1:10.5. I think we're about to see the best lap of the pre-final go yet again. Yes, we do. 1:10.3. So Rea getting quicker and quicker all the time. The rain, I think, has stopped. Obviously, I'm saying this from the benefit of a roofed commentary box, but it is a potential that the track is starting to get a little bit better. But we do know that these rain showers are going to be on and off throughout the day. Time is up. We're not quite on the last lap yet, though, Daniele, so still time for drivers out there to gain positions.
Yeah, it seems like Achille Rea is doing it effortless. It's that let's say the scary part for everybody else, because it seems like he's not pushing. It seems like he's confident on racing this way, even if he had the leadership. He doesn't really need to win this one, so that's what it's like in this moment for Achille Rea. Achille Rea che guida con relativa tranquillità al comando della corsa e con assolutamente una grosso margine di vantaggio, continuando a far stampare anche giri record. Non stavolta 1:10.4 il suo, tra virgolette, rallentare, mentre di dietro però si muove qualcosa, perché Giuseppe Noviello è arrivato da Kostreva insieme a Bertolaccini e ha operato il sorpasso, quindi Noviello, Kostreva e Bertolaccini adesso in ordine alle spalle di Rea, che ha iniziato anche a effettuare dei doppiaggi nel frattempo, e soprattutto ha iniziato quello che è l'ultimo giro di questa prefinale della mini Rok, prefinale A, E attenzione, un pilota che finisce in momentaneamente in testa coda è Sammut che adesso riparte ma ha perso un po' di posizioni, era sesto, rientra in fila in 13ª posizione, mentre si prepara la bandiera a scacchi con l'ottimo Maurizio pronto a sventolarla all'arrivo di Achille Rea, che sta affrontando per l'ultima volta le curve del pettine prima di mettersi sul rettilineo finale. Ancora una volta è lui il primo a vedere la bandiera a scacchi, lo fa davanti a Giuseppe Noviello, poi Cosreva Bertolaccini, che alla fine perde alla quarta posizione a beneficio di Nanni, che riesce a ritornare su, a guadagnare una posizione. Alessandro Nanni, poi appunto Davos in sesta posizione, Magro in settima con 9 posizioni guadagnate. Ottavo posto per Larsen, anche lui ha guadagnato una decina di posizioni, sì, partiva 18esimo. Poi White in nona posizione, Sutumno in decima, anche per lui una buona risalita in questa gara per provare a star dentro il taglio. Poi Orbeso, Sammut, che alla fine è riuscito a recuperare una posizione dopo l'errore all'ultimo giro, è rientrato 12esimo. Bugayong, Kluk, Feligioni per chiudere la top 15, quindi Nagura De Musac con la penalizzazione scivola in 17esima posizione. È una buona rimonta per lui comunque, perché ha riguadagnato 11 posizioni, ma poteva sicuramente essere meglio. Brignot in 18esima, Salierno in 19esima, Zuluaga a chiudere la top 20. 21esimo Frade, 22esimo Villalobos, poi Uch, Grabowski, Parashev, Carreira e Flora con Krajvanager, Platner e Pavan e Kosjevic, che non hanno portato a termine la corsa. So that's it for the Mini Rock Prefinal A. Of course, we will have the Prefinal B in few moments. We are already knowing just one thing: the pole position is for Achille Rea.
Carbone and Max Boshov go from row number 4. Marco Fazzari and Post Control start on row number 5. Mikolai Gablikowski and Aaron Mason start on row 6. Declan Jurgens and Massimo LaRusso go from row number 7. Jan Gardlik and Dominik Wojcik start on row 8. The last row containing drivers who are currently inside the top 36 are on row number 9, David Tyndall and Jessica Kalesia. On the outside looking in, but with an opportunity to race through here, starting on row number 10, Nicolas LaRusso and Facundo Hernandez. Row 11, Mattia Finadri and Adam Mayak. Row 12, Diego Perez and George Tucker. Row 13, Leonardo Trombini and Jan Halupnichak. Row 14, Salomon Peragua and Cecil Kurtz from Namibia. Row 15, Erin Ortak and Brian Filippelli. Seth Ricato completes the 31 strong field for this, the second and last pre-final in Mini Rock. So the sky's clearing a little bit here at South Garda Karting. It has been a very challenging week for all classes in terms of dealing with the weather. At least for the mechanics today, it's very much staying to one side of the dry-wet divide. It's wet setup all the way, but we have seen the track, when it's stopped raining, be able to dry out in the course of 3 or 4 races. I don't think we'll see a dry track before the lunch break and the completion of all of these pre-finals. But if the rain does stay away, that could make tyre choice and setup choice for the finals later on this afternoon even trickier than normal. Zhu with an opportunity here to get onto the front row of the grid. The lights go green. We're racing once again in Mini Rok, 6 minutes plus 1 lap. Drivers head down through the first couple of corners, all looking relatively okay at the moment. Zach Zhu is pulling to one side to hold on to the race lead as they go into hairpin number 1. This is always a bit of a tricky moment for drivers in the middle of the field, and that's why, because there's two carts round in the second half of the field, and a few more goings on the exit up towards turn number 6. But look at this, coming down into the S's, the 133 of Zach Zhu is away by probably 5 or 6 kart lengths. That's a great start for the driver for LA Motorsport. And I think there's been problems out there for Erin Urtak in the 139. Oh, and Jessica Kalija as well. And Kalija started on the 9th row of the grid. Needed a strong run here, a solid run to keep one of those top 36 places. That spin for the 156 could mean that unless the driver from Malta is able to pull back through the order, that could be the end of the Superfinal for Jessica Kalija, because inevitably drivers just outside the top 36 overnight will be able to gain as a result of that. 4.5 minutes to go, Daniele. Just seeing that Erin Urtak is now under investigation to add insult to injury there. But a really good performance so far from Zach Zhu this week. And building with confidence, 8.5 tenths clear of the rest of the field. This is a good watch.
Davvero un grande inizio, una grande partenza di Zhu, che sta provando a guidare senza troppi intoppi. Per ora è riuscito anche a mettere un buon margine, 8 decimi di vantaggio nel corso del primo giro su Rivera. È un ottimo passo con cui partire. Riesce a seguire Carbone, Gavilowski, Bristow. Abbiamo visto qualche problema purtroppo per piloti anche che si stavano giocando il taglio, come nella fattispecie per Jessica Calleja, che intanto arriva la penalizzazione ulteriore per Erin Urtak, che appunto era l'altro pilota che aveva avuto un problema. È andato in testa coda in curva 5, arriva 3 secondi di penalizzazione per Erin Urtak. Al termine del secondo giro comunque continua a guidare Zach Zhu in prima posizione, 1,5 secondi di vantaggio su Julian Rivera, poi Xie, Carbone, Bristow, Jurgens, and I say, Andrew, that it's an interesting moment of this pre-final, because Zhu is up there and is trying to claim the first row for the final, but all the drivers, Rivera, Xie, Carbone, Bristow, are all there trying to earn important points for their standing, because they are all not so sure where they're gonna land in the final.
Yeah, it's one of those racing cliches, isn't it? If you're not quite sure what's going on, just keep pushing. Just keep pushing on to see what you can gain. Definitely pushing on right now is Diego Perez in the 162, the driver flying the flag for Chile, one of the many ROK Cup USA drivers here this weekend, and a big hello to everyone from the North American contingent that have made the trip over the Atlantic, and to those following them from home. Perez is up 11 places in this race, up to P12. Is started on the 12th row of the grid. So yeah, he's probably got about 15 points deficit to the top 36 overnight. So that's again, it's just putting a driver in with a chance. Similar story for George Tucker, who started alongside Perez on the front row. Sorry, not on the front row. On the 12th row of the grid, has also gained 11 places out there. Oh, there's a half spin just out of the window in the first hairpin, which we'll check in with in a few moments' time when we see who it was. 1.5 minutes to go. Zhu continues to lead this pre-final. Rivera there in second place. How are things looking in the final intermediate classification? Well, Ray, we know, has got pole position. We saw that in pre-final A, as a bit of a side-by-side there between Archie Bristow and Carboni and Jurgens in there as well. Lovely switchbacks being done left, right and centre. It's Georgiella coming through the field. So Georgiella in the 153 gained a couple of spots in all of that. So Ray, we know, on pole position. Due at the moment with this performance would also be on the front row, on the outside of row number 1. Bertolucci would be taking the inside of row number 2. So this is what we were talking about with drivers in pre-final A. Will now start to find that their situations are improving. Bristow would be on the outside of row number 2. Kostreva and Rivera on row 3. Noviello and Giorgella on row 4. But that run in the points, Daniele, from Bristow in 4th down to Giorgella in 8th is only 3 points. There's still a lot of changes at stake here. If drivers make moves, lose positions out there, could all jumble it up for the grid later on this afternoon. That's no problem at all for your race leader, Zach Dew, who is clear by 2.2 seconds. Going through Patinay number 2 now. You can see the battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, going back and forward. The drivers gesturing to one another, saying, come on, we need to work together. I don't think that's going to happen across the course of the remaining 2 laps of this race. They're going to be fighting all the way to the end. Bristow has got back up to 4th. Jurgens 5th. Giorgella now back down to 7th place. And Sie Huafei is now up in the top 8 and on page 1 of the final intermediate classification. The driver in the 158 up 2 places in this race to 3rd.
Ottimo il processo di gara di Zhu, mentre si battaglia dietro. Abbiamo visto un attimo di bagarra tra Rivera e Trachet, poi adesso Bristow, Jurgens e Carbone con Giorgella stanno dando vita a diverse battaglie per accapararsi posizioni importanti, perché come sottolineava Andrew, da Bristow in questo momento a Xie, ma continua a cambiare la situazione, ci sono pochissimi punti, quindi ogni volta che si scala o si perde una posizione cambia anche la proiezione su quella che sarà la griglia di partenza della finale di oggi pomeriggio. Quindi davvero è il discorso che ogni centimetro conta e ogni momento conta. Parlando di momenti, è scaduto il tempo e quindi ci sarà ancora un giro a disposizione della Mini Rok per completare il quadro di quest'oggi, di questa prefinale, quantomeno in questa mattinata, e quindi andare a trovare la delineazione definitiva della griglia di partenza. Poi ovviamente noi vi ricordiamo, vale per me, vale per Andrew, quello che diciamo al termine della gara è quello che vediamo alla bandiera scacchi. Poi se ci sono interventi della commissione gara ovviamente vi rimandiamo al sito della ROK per tutte le comunicazioni. Se eventualmente qualche decisione post gara va a cambiare quella che è la configurazione della griglia di partenza per quanto riguarda la finale, ovviamente. Allora, prefinale B della Mini Rok che va verso il termine con una gara abbastanza dominata da Zach Zhu dominating this race, and now at the final turn before the straight and the checkered flag out there for hit. It's a checkered flag out there. So winning over Rivera. A good second spot for Rivera. Then it's Bristow at the very end over Xie. Then it's Carbone in P5. Giorgella over Jurgens. And that long battle for the spots there. Giorgella, Jurgens and Fasari, of course. Gavilowski and Concol in P9 and P10. Then it's Mason in P11, Tucken in P12, Perez, Garziliek, Lorusso, Hernandez, Tindall. Of course, it was Nicolas Lorusso in P15, Hernandez, Tindall. Then it's Massimo Lorusso. After him, Filippelli, Trombini, Majek, Boshoff, Kurz, Manzano, Piragua, Kaleka, Rukato, Chalup, Znak, Findari, Ortak, Wojcik. That's it for the Mini Rok. And it gives
front row of the grid. The lights go green. We're racing once again in Mini Rok. 6 minutes plus 1 lap.
Pre-final A.
Senior Rok pre-final A going out onto circuit. Let's take you through the grid for this one. Danny Caronini has the opportunity to sew up the pole position for the final. Starts at the front for this one and is joined on the front row of the grid by Samuele Di Filippo, who started the competition very well. Lost some points yesterday, but is still in good form. That's row 1. Vaclav Prochatska starts on row 2, is joined by Giuseppe Galliano. Guy Albach and Simon Bulgarella start on row number 3. Kalayan Barbitsaliev and Alberto Bernardi go from row number 4. Marcel Kazpritsky starts on row 5 and is joined by Riccardo Salemi. Andre Pickle and Olivier Cobiella start on row 6. They're ahead of Nazareno Lopez and Austin Gale on row 7. Giovanni Palato and Franciszek Lasota go from row number 8. Last of those on the inside at the moment at the top, 36 overnight. Row 9, Diego Ramos and Nathaniel Andikara. Those trying to improve and keep their chances going into the final. We start with row 10, Mattia Gentile and Anthony Kashiba. Wojciech Voda and Christos Hatsis start on row number 11. Renzo Barbary and Ricardo Chiodo go from row 12. Thomas Cazella and Alessio Miliucci start on row 13. Devin Ukar and Michael Coe go from row 14. Sebastian Blanco and Andrea Fiocco go from row 15. Alessandro Cocchi and Frederick Lemire start on row 16. Pietro Camerlengo and Marcin Dokuchki start on row 17. Alessandro Giarratano and Thomas Kwiatkowski go from row 18. We're going to go round again for another formation lap. Points, standings so far from the 5 rounds of heats that we've seen across the course of the last few days. Caronini, perfect run almost through those heats. 4 wins and a second place, a 12-point advantage over Chapler, who of course will be on pole position for pre-final B. Di Filippo in 3rd on 16. Knudsen 4th on 20. Again, will be in the race after this one. Prochaska on 21. Vashni 22. Galliano 24. Motlakar 28. Albag 30 and Badetti 32. That is your top 10 at the moment. Plenty of other stories down the order. We started with 90. 72 drivers remain. Half of that 72 will not proceed onto the super final grid later on this afternoon, and this race is going to be a big part of the story that decides who is going to make it through. Can Danny Caronini continue the form that we've seen across the course of the last 3 days? We're green lights and racing. 8 minutes plus 1 lap underway in Senior Rok. Fast start from everybody in this field. And it's Danny Caronini who leads in the early stages through turn 4. Can they all make it through? Looking good so far. Danny Caronini likes to hit heats and pre-finals with a very quick start. He likes to try and break away from the field, get the lead up to around a second, and then manage from there on in. There's a spinner from high up the order. I could just about see in the distance from our position at start line. We'll check who it was in a moment. There's some other drivers who've also joined now. Anyone again who started far up the order, if they do have a problem, they'll probably be okay in terms of points and getting through to the final. The trouble is they'll be a lot further down the order. I think it was Prochaska. I think Prochaska has spun. Yes, has come through sector number 2 and has lost about 10 seconds. So Prochaska, who started on the inside of row number 2, yes, will most likely get through to the super final, but we won't be talking about Prochaska up in the first couple of rows. It'll be down probably around the 6th or 7th row of the grid. Caronini leads. Albag, great start from Guy Albag there on the Lando Norris chassis, racing for GSR this weekend. He's up to 2nd place. That's a gain of 3. Also good starts for Barbitsaliev, up 3 places. Kazbritsky up 4 places. Brilliant start for Giarratano, who gained 16 places. My goodness me, that is one heck of a start from Alessandro Giarratano with the 4-1-2. The trouble for Giarratano, I think he's just a little bit too far back. Only just made the cut to get through into the top 72, and we need a small miracle to go all the way from the outside the top 65 and go all the way into the top 36. End of another lap. Carinini has got his 1.5 second lead. He'll just look to manage this now. Knows how to win a ROK Cup Superfinal. Won the junior title some years ago now, nearly 10 years ago. For those with long memories, has had a very successful international karting season already. Knows how to deal with the pressure, but also knows he needs to save the materials as much as possible through this race to give himself the best opportunity to continue this kind of performance when we get into the final later on this afternoon. 4:23 of Guy Albag. This could be a best result of the week so far for Guy Albag. Another very experienced racer. Races across multiple different categories. Has had a third place already this week. 4th, 8th, 7th, 6th and 3rd are the results. The driver of the 4:23. Changes on, there's a spin there, I think, for one of the Zanki Motorsport entries through Patinine number 3 that we just saw out of the window. So drivers having problems out there and will most likely be falling down the order. Just to cover some of the other moves going on out on track. Pickle up to 10th place, has just got ahead of Bernardi. Ramos and Gentile both ahead of Austin Gale. Austin Gale should be okay. Starting on the 7th row of the grid and is still in the top half of this field, so that's not a huge issue for Austin Gale, and will not want to get too tight at the wheel and panic, because Austin Gale does have an advantage in terms of those points over the cut-off for the final. 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Carinini completes another lap. Lead is up to 2.1 seconds. Nice stuff from the Italian. Di Filippo seems to be back on form as well. It's holding there in 3rd place. Out a second clear a second behind Albag and 2.3 seconds ahead of Varbit Saliev. Kaspritsky still in 5th. Changes just outside the top 10. Ramos and Gentile have both gained a position. They've both got past Bernardi, who seems to be having some troubles out there. Started on the 4th row of the grid, did Alberto Bernardi in the 4.60, and is now down in 13th place. Leaders coming into sector 3 now. 3 minutes to go. And it's Carinini still leading this race. I can see there's a good scrap going on out there. As move down the inside by Kaspritsky there. That was beautifully done on the brakes to get ahead of the 4.56 of Kalayan Varbit-Saliev. Great to see the Varbit-Saliev name back here at the ROK Cup Superfinal. Seen it in previous editions with different family members, of course. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in this race. So Kaspritsky with that move is now up to 4th place. How is this changing things in the points? We talked about Prochaska and that spin earlier on. Prochaska is still going, and with good reason, because any positions that can be gained back by the driver flying the flag for Czechia could result in a better position on the grid, but it has lost out, I think, to the likes of Galliano, Albag, Varbit-Saliev, Bulbarella and Kaspritsky. They've all jumped Prochaska in this race, in this pre-final, in terms of those points. Don't see any drivers doing the kind of performances that will change things. Maybe with the exception of Anthony Kosiba in the middle of the pack. He's gained 4 places. was on row 10, so yeah, won't be too far off. The driver from Poland won't need as big a delta, as big a gain of points to cross the gap and get into the top 36. Just going to check where Kasiba was. It was 39th on 68 points, yeah, so it was only 4 points away of overnight being in the top 36, and has gained 4 places in this race. So for Kasiba, I'd like to get a few more positions, but could be someone who's saving themselves with this new format for the ROK Cup Superfinal. It will be familiar, of course, to viewers of karting as a whole, as a sport, with big entries and big fields, but it's the first time that we've seen in recent memory the format of pre-finals running into finals run here for this competition. 20 seconds remaining on the clock. Caronini in the mid 104s, as is Albag. Gap at the front of the order is 3 seconds. Di Filippo's just done the fastest lap of the race, though. And for Di Filippo, because it is pretty close in those points, he can catch up to Albag and find a way through. Could make life a little bit more difficult for the likes of Chapler and Knudsen still to go, of course, in the next pre-final. No other changes in the top 5. Salemi and Bulbarello have got through past Gagliano. That's for 6th and 7th places, respectively. Di Filippo's not done yet, I think. There's the gap to Albag last time around was 0.4 seconds. We're about to see the last lap board come out for Caronini. There goes Caronini onto a new one. 3.1 seconds is the gap. This battle for second, as we say, not over. That's a really nice lap from Di Filippo. Really nice last sector in particular, so we'll keep an eye on whether Di Filippo, this would be worth 1 point, but you never know how important that point could be. Albag still holds second place, running out of turn 5 and away from the mechanics gallery now. Di Filippo is within striking distance here. Surely won't try anything through this part of the course. I think he'll try and save it for Pétinet number 1. So he's got to get a good run through the S's here. Albag, nice tidy run through the S's. Is Di Filippo going to be close enough? I don't think it's going to be the case on this occasion. The risk versus the reward. The risk is too high. The reward is not enough for potentially throwing the result away. Danny Caronini, though, is going to finish all of the heats and the pre-final with only 2 points on the board. A very good score for Danny Caronini, who takes pre-final A, will be on pole position and a strong favourite for the final. Guy Albag finishes P2. That is a very useful score indeed. Samuele Di Filippo will at least be on the front 2 rows of the grid. Could still be on the very front row of the grid, depending on how things go for Chapler and Knudsen in the next race. That's Di Filippo in 3rd. Kaspritsky, good drive there from the Polish driver, up 5 places to 4th. Barbasaliev in 5th. Salemi 6th. Bulbarella 7th. Ramos 8th. Great drive there from Diego Ramos, up 9 places. Was on that edge of being the wrong side of, was just inside the top 36. That more than secures a place in the final for Diego Ramos, that run to 8th place. Olivier Cubiella in 9th, Andre Pickle 10th. Austin Gale did gain some positions out there, 11th. All of these drivers are further securing their positions in the top 36. They'll be fine. They'll be through into the super final. Mattia Gentile in 12th place. That might be enough. That was a driver on the outside looking in. 7 places gained. Didn't need many positions gained to reverse the deficits to those overnight in a stronger position. That's a nice drive for Mattia Gentile there for Sankey Motorsport. 13th was Lopez, Bernardi and Kasiba in the top 15. Great end to the competition for Alessandro Giaratano. It was a bit too far back, I think, to trouble the scores in terms of top 36, but 19 places gained for Giaratano there. Galliano, Lasota, Kotki and Pilato in the top 20. We're going to take a short break on comms and be back with pre-final B and Senior Rock very soon.
but they drive me crazy. Yannick called me there when I was almost there. He told me to not go and that we go to this award ceremony at the pre-grid of the under 10. So I need to go there a little bit before for the under 10 pre-grid.
Yeah.
They do this award for a guy that is dead of the OTK, and on his name with the youngest one, the youngest girl there. But it's crazy
Because they're not giving us information.
yeah, and I don't know anything about this guy, so I have to ask, please write me down something because I don't know anything. I need to go with 2 microphones.
It is my number 1.
Time for the second pre-final B in Senior Rok. Franciszek Chapler starts on pole position. Very simple job for the AMO Racing Team pilot. Win, and he'll get a spot on the front row of the grid for the final. Morgan Knudsen starts alongside on the front row. Knudsen had some really good results so far this weekend. It's a Polish 1-2-3 at the front of this one. Colin Brashny starts on the inside of row number 2 alongside Mozambique's Ghazi Mutlakar. Lorenzo Benetti is the first of the Italians on this grid, is starting on the inside of row number 3 and is next to Nicolas Fuca. Xavier Suarez goes from row 4 alongside the impressive Jace Matthews. Had a difficult qualifying at the start of the week, but has raced really well, and this is a good opportunity for the Australian there in the 422. Kasper Turboyski was on the podium here for the ROK Cup Superfinal last year. Starts this finals day in this pre-final on row 5. Is joined by another driver with success in previous years, the mini ROK winner from 2021, Canada's Jensen Burnett. Blake Nash. Keep an eye on Nash to come through the field. The Tony Kart Works driver racing this weekend for Zanki Motorsports is on the inside of row 6. Is joined by another one of Zanki Motorsports runners for this super final, Juan Alessi in the 491. Pietro Protasevich and Marcel Matijevic start on row number 7. Camilo Trapper and Alex Rad will look to defend their current positions inside the top 36 from row number 8. The last of those drivers currently all right in terms of the point standings are Nicholas Jaime and Patrick Donica on row 9. Needing to improve, needing to go forward, Ivo Bastera and Luca Pirelli on row 10. Alex Legetza and Yuri Skopoliks on row number 11. Alex Ruta and Mikolai Kanya on row 12. Pietro Ochakovsky and Elvis Luca on row 13. Nemechek, McNeil, Lennart, Nebetsky, Pejaro, Roth, Pirkovsky, Lenetti, Michelli and Maldonado complete the runners. And we're going to go around again. That tends to happen sometimes when you read a grid out quick. We'll give that a bit more of a thorough read through. Row 14, we'll go from row 13. Pietro Ochakovsky and Elvis Luca from Cyprus on that one. Row 14, Nicholas Nemechek and Isaac McNeil. Row 15, Anthony Lennart and Richard Nemetsky. Row 16, Diogo Pagliara Matson, Yannick Roth also on row 16, Marek Piarkowski and Michele Lenetti on row 17, Ludovica Michelli and Carlos Maldonado completes the 36 runners in this, the second pre-final B for Senior Rok at the 2024 ROK Cup Superfinal. Franciszek Chapler with a great chance here to continue this run for Polish drivers in the senior category. We have seen a driver from Poland on the podium for the last 4 years. Turboyski last year in third, Rysky in 2022 in second place, and then wins, of course, for Karel Čepil and Alexander Bardas. They have a very strong record in this category, and they've got some great drivers at the front of the field as well of Team Poland. Chapler, Knudsen and Vashny 1, 2, 3 at the start of this race. We're green lighted racing, 8 minutes plus 1 lap. Up to full speed we go in Senior Rok, diving into the first couple of corners. Can they all make it through the first sector? It's looking a bit tight and congested in all parts of the pack, not just the normal scramble in the second half. Down into the first hairpin. Oh, that's getting tight again. Are they all going to be able to make their way through? Somehow they have made it. There's one driver kicking up a whole load of mud and spray on the exit of turn number 5. But back towards the S's, it's the 444 who's come through. That is an incredible start. That's Kasper Turboyski. Turboyski started on the 5th row of the grid as the 3, 4, 5 carts off in the S's in the background. Turboyski has gone from 9th place on the grid, Daniele, and leads as we go through the last corner on the first lap.
It's definitely used what happened on the first 2 turns, where a lot of drivers were packed in the jam. He probably picked the right line, maybe outside if I'm not mistaken, and got through all of it. That's a masterclass start by him. Splendida partenza di Turboyski, che si è inventato la traiettoria per evitare il grosso ingorgo nelle prime curve, da nono a primo in una manciata di metri. Adesso guida la corsa davanti a Knudsen. Nash trappa Nebeschi, invece al contrario la partenza di Franciszek Sapla, che è andato molto più indietro ed è scivolato, appunto incastrato in quell'ingorgo a inizio gara, inizio partenza. Turboyski, Knudsen, Nash, Protasiewicz, Matthews, con adesso anche l'indicazione che c'è una warning flag all'indirizzo di Alexander Ruta, mentre lì davanti prova a scappare via Turboyski con Knudsen. I due polacchi provano a creare un po' di vuoto alle loro spalle. Arriva l'indicazione di Colin Wasney sotto indagine, potrebbe essere relativa appunto ai fatti della primissima curva. 3 polacchi davanti a tutti: Turboyski, Knudsen, Protasiewicz, poi Matthews che adesso va a cercare di avvicinare e insidiare Nash insieme a Fuka, e appunto Wasney e Bester da inseguire poco lontano. Sembra un po' in difficoltà in questo momento Nash, e c'è Bagarra lì in mezzo nel gruppone con un ottimo lavoro fin qui fatto da Nash, mentre lì dietro Sapla sta provando un po' a risalire la china. It was one of the starts of the race that could change everything. Turboyski up in front, Sapla down there with a few drivers with him, and now a lot of space created for a lot of drivers.
That problem for Chapler has moved him along, not a long way down the order. It's moved him a long way down the order in this race, and is on the fight back now, but is down in 25th place. It means that Chapler has lost that place alongside Caronini on the front row of the grid. Has also dropped beyond the second row of the grid. Chapler would now be starting 6th for the final alongside Albag. Di Filippo would be alongside Caronini. Knudsen and Vashny would be on row 2. Albag and Chapler, as mentioned, row 3, and then Motlakar and Fuka on row number 4. Protasiewicz is having a great race in this one as well. Daniele is up 10 places to 3rd. Besterde up 12. So whilst there's been problems for the front-running Polish drivers in this race, this is the strength of the team that they've got this year in Senior Rok. That there's more of their representatives coming back through. Also coming back through the order, Blake Nash up 7 places so far in this race to 4th. So it's Turboyski, Knudsen, although Knudsen gives a little nudge there to Turboyski going into Petonnet number 2. Protasiewicz in 3rd, Nash 4th, side by side for the lead of the race, but Turboyski's going to have the drive off the final corner.
You know what's happened there? It's Turboyski, Protasiewicz and Nash. They were all one in front of the other, and they're on the lead side. They understand before anybody else that something went wrong on the first row, and they take the advantage of it because Benedetti is back down, because Suarez is back down too. Not as much as Chapla, but that was happened on at the very start of the race. Pajaro, meanwhile, I think it's out of the race. It's the car parked outside of the S's, and now the 5 seconds penalty to Colin Wasney. 5 second penalty to Colin Wasney. That's gonna change, and probably has something to do with what we witnessed at the very beginning of the race.
Yeah, obviously we didn't have a full view of it here in our position in the comms box. It's down at the far end of the circuit relative to our position, but yeah, the timestamp 4 minutes ago that the under investigation flag came out for Vasny, and now plus 5 second penalty, as you say, Daniele. You actually started directly behind Chapler. You do wonder whether that was in relation to Chapler's problems. There's a kart off. It's the 480. That's Donica, and that's going to be the end of this super final for Patrick Donica. Because the 480 of Patrick Donica was just on the inside of the top 36 overnight in the points. This will be, well, it doesn't need to be a big drop to be out of the cut-off for the super final. It's going to be a big drop for Donica, who's going to fall down to 33rd. That's going to be 33 points going on the scorecard for Donica. That is a real shame for another one of the Polish drivers. Will not go through, most likely, unless something remarkable happens. And it would have to be in the next few moments. It would need to be something like a red flag coming out and you know, count back of a lap to save Donica there. That is going to be a driver not going through to the final. 1 minute and 20 seconds to go. Turboski still leads by 0.6 of a second from Knudsen. Protasiewicz still makes it a 1-2-3 for Poland. Argentina in 4th place with Duca. The United States of America in 5th with Nash. Verstappen in 6th. Suarez, Matthews, Burnett and Alessi all in the top 10. All of those drivers have either held their position from the start of the race or have gained, Daniele.
Grande gara fino a questo momento di Turboisky, che sta per ora tenendo anche dietro Knudsen, che chissà se ha fatto i calcoli, però con 1-0 forse non, se non sbaglio, non sarebbe sufficiente a scalare in prima fila, quindi probabilmente si sta un po' tenendo, vedremo. Di sicuro è una gara dove fanno un po' il passo del gambero sia Wasny che Sapla, l'uno con la penalizzazione, l'altro sta provando a risalire un po' e ogni posizione è buona per togliere punti dal proprio score. Però andiamo verso il versante finale di questa corsa, con gli ultimi 22 secondi passano adesso i leader, quindi quello che stanno affrontando è di fatto il terzultimo giro. C'è ancora un po' di tempo, insomma, in realtà per Sapla per provare a risalire. Non riesco a capire in quale pezzo della pista, ma credo ci sia stato un problema per Ludovica Miceli, che è passata un po' attardata all'ultimo intertempo più di quanto non lo fosse. Detto questo, resta adesso un po' di tempo per Knudsen per provare ad aggredire Turboisky, cosa che potrà fare tra l'altro se si riuscirà ad avvicinare con relativa tranquillità, perché poi i due hanno un margine di oltre 4 secondi nei confronti dell'altro polacco Protasiewicz, che guida il gruppetto con Fuka e Nash che insegue. Anche quel gruppetto lì è nella condizione dove c'è lo spazio per essere vicini, non ancora quello per attaccarsi l'un l'altro. In realtà poi non hanno questo grande vantaggio nei confronti di Verstappen, Suarez, Matthews e Barnett. Anche Barnett sta provando l'ennesimo tentativo di risalire la china in questo weekend per entrare in maniera importante in una posizione interessante per la finale di oggi pomeriggio per quanto riguarda la Senior Rock. Passati sul traguardo i piloti a cronometro scaduto, quindi ci avviciniamo verso la fine di questa gara. Time's up there, Andrew, and they are close. Let's see if they are close enough to attack Knudsen to Turboisky. They are fighting down there with Fuka now trying to get over Protasiewicz at the S and got through. A good move by Nicolas Fuka, and Fuka Protasiewicz, Nash, Becerra, they're all fighting for their position, their spot on the final. Checkered flag out there, ready to welcome. Here we are with Turboski. That start worth it, and it was a great win by the Polish driver over Knudsen and Fuka. At the end of the day, he was third for the Argentinian, and then it's Protasiewicz ending up in fourth. A good comeback still for the Polish driver. Then it's Bregnesh in P5, Ivo Becerra in P6. 13th position gained by Ivo Becerra, a great result for him. Then it's Javier Suarez. At the end of the day, he was able to get back at least to his 7th position on Matthews in P8, Alessi in P9, Burnett ending up in P10. This time there was no comeback for the Canadian driver. Wasney ending up in 11th position with a 5-second penalty on him. Moltecar in 12th. There is P13 for Bedetti, lost 8th position. P14 for Ruta, P15 for Matjevich, then it's Pirelli and Sapla in P17. What a disaster this pre-final for Sapla. It's not over, of course, but it's going to start a little bit behind where he was thinking to. Jaime in P18, Rad in P19, then it's Nebeski running up the top 20, then it's Trappa, Mikolai, Lagezza, Skopolik, Maldonado, Orzekowski, Lenart, Roth, Luca, Piarkowski, Micheli, Leonetti, with Donica, Pajaro, Nimecek, and McNeil. The last two did not start. So that close things up for Senior Rok. We will have just one more pre-final entry with the Shifter Rok, and then we were ready for the finals.
I just watched it back, and yeah, actually, they both
Yeah,
but not, I think we end up looking like freaking idiots because we cannot see.
Yeah,
We cannot see turn one.
and we cannot. I've been locked out. I don't know why.
I am this close, mate, to going wherever they're based and having a full diva moment with them because this is poor. This is really poor.
No. I go there. There's one of them, so I can talk to them. Okay, just quickly. I just to try to understand if they do the break, because we are a full session behind on the schedule, and if I need to be there, it's the first one of the finals. So I try to understand that, and Roberta said to me that our sandwiches are ready. So if I go there, I just take the sandwiches, so at least we can eat something.
Yeah. This is quite disappointing.
No, it's
Poor.
it's the worst ever. It's the worst ever.
The last pre-final is upon us, and it's Shifter Rok going out on circuit. They've had 4 heats so far this week, and this is how they line up after all the points have been tallied up from those races. Mattia Lamena starts on pole position with Karol Pasovic alongside on the front row, Marco Torman and Adrian Labuda on row 2, Federico Scoranti and Henry Kubides on row number 3, Alexandru Iancu and Davide Cordera start on row 4, David Cardenas and Daniele De Martis go from row number 5, Pietro Fioravanti and Massimiliano Pizzucchi on row 6, Sebastian Janchevsky and Gabriele Benzi start on row 7. Then it's Marco Chiarello and Samuele Leopardi on row number 8. Hokuto Ide and Boris Kataja start on row 9. Paolo Fracasso and Victor Jimenez go from row number 10. That is your top 20. Luigi Del Vecchio and Leonardo Seba start on row number 11. Row 12, Eduardo Sabatino and Roberto Manduki on row 12. Santiago Aguila and Takayuki and Okamoto on row 13. Andrea Zeman and Giacomo Pellegrino go from row 14. Federico Diana and Matteo Grassetti start on row 15. Christian Lovey and Philippe Ehrensberger start on row 16. Ramon Ramirez and Giacomo Pegatano start on row 17. Riccardo Franciosi and Hiromitsu Shima complete the 36 runners. No threat of a cut-off in this one, but it is a full grid of 36 drivers, the maximum possible for the entry size. And so far this week, we've seen no driver be absolutely clear of the field, and particularly with how important the getaways are from the grid in Shifter Rock, the conditions have played havoc to some degree with how the drivers have been able to progress. Prasovic won heat number 1 back on Wednesday evening. The second one on Thursday was taken by Marco Torman on Friday. Yesterday they had 2 more heats to go through to this pre-final. Torman took the first of those 2 heats, the third one of the race week, and then Mattia Lamena, even with a penalty, took the 4th and final one. Mattia Lamena, who's been on the podium in this race before, looking to return there. He's got a great opportunity. Again, it's a simple scenario for Lamena. Win this race and he'll be on pole position for the final, but it's very close. Lamena on 8 points, Prasovic on 9, Torman, the champion from last year, of course, as well, on 10. Adrian Lamuda cannot be counted out as well. He's only 5 points behind Torman. We've already seen dramas in the first couple of corners in the first lap for other categories. What are we about to see here in Shifter Rock? It's a big grid. It feels like an age for those at the front of the order. The last couple of carts are just coming around the final corner now to get us ready for this, the pre-final in Shifter Rock. Flag Marshal steps away. Attention will turn to the lights. They will come on one by one, and then we will be racing in Shifter Rock. Pre-final here at Lenato is go. Good start from Limena on the right-hand side of the grid. Will take the lead into the first couple of corners. All 36 carts are away through the first couple of corners. They go. Everyone just making sure that they can pick their way through a very fast, very tight part of the course. But it's going to be Lamena leading in the 8.16. A good start as well for Prasovic. Prasovic has held second place. All drivers have made it through past the mechanics gallery and on to sector number 2. Quite a steady start there, Daniele, for Lamena. I think everyone aware that the grip is at a premium, particularly in these conditions. Whilst it's still a relatively green track, there's not been a huge amount of rubber laid down that stayed there because of all the rain we've had this week. There's still that element. We went and checked a little bit ourselves, doing some very scientific shoe shuffling yesterday, didn't we? That on that right-hand side of the grid, there's a lot more grip than the left-hand side, where conventionally you'd normally start from pole position.
Yeah, and that's what worked in that way. So they already know that, so they are going to exploit that, and it's kind of starting to see if something changed rubber-wise all over the place, because it's few minutes now that it's not raining, so something could change on track, like position round, the attack by Torman, and Torman tried to fight back. And that's what Limena tried to exploit there. Kind of work. Buona la partenza assolutamente di Mattia Limena, che è riuscito a conquistare subito il primo posto. Adesso lo difende da Pasievic, con Torman che adesso si è scambiato un paio di volte la posizione con la Buda. Limena che, come dicevamo, ha sfruttato il diritto da pole sitter di scambiare la prima casella, ed è stato qualcosa che abbiamo visto fare poi tutte le sessioni negli ultimi 2 giorni per quanto riguarda la shifter Rok, l'unica che parte da posizione dal piazzamento in griglia di partenza, da fermi, perché abbiamo notato, abbiamo anche verificato con Andrew andando proprio in pista, che la parte destra della griglia effettivamente, nonostante la pioggia, è la più gommata, quella che tiene meglio. Insomma, questa cosa in qualche modo evidentemente funziona e fa la differenza. 5 minuti e 20 ancora più un giro per quanto riguarda la shifter Rok. Come diciamo prima, tutti andranno in finale per quanto riguarda questa categoria, che è l'ultima, ancora la prefinale. Limena Pasjevic, Labuda Tormen, Cordera Kubides, Squaranti, Janko Cardenas, Bensi in top 10 in questo momento, con Limena che ha avuto una buona partenza, che è riuscito sì a portarsi in prima posizione, non sta riuscendo a scrollarsi addosso Pasjevic, anzi Pasjevic si stanno avvicinando anche Labuda e Tormen, o meglio Tormen e poi Labuda, perché Tormen è stato il più veloce in questa tornata, 1.03 e 0.37, 1.3 e 2 di Labuda, 1.3 e 7 per i due leader di questa corsa fino a questo momento, con il gruppetto che dunque sta andando a accorciarsi e a riunirsi, con Cordera, Kubidis non troppo lontani, potrebbero pensare anche loro di rientrare, mentre vediamo sventolare le bandiere verdi sul traguardo, cosa che ci fa pensare che forse c'erano state delle bandiere gialle nel terzo settore, qualcosa che francamente ci è sfuggito. Aspettiamo il prossimo rilevamento cronometrico, anche se in maniera, come dire, empirica sembra abbastanza evidente che sia Tormen che Labuda si sono riavvicinati anche tra loro, perché riesplode la battaglia. E allora altro passaggio sul traguardo a 3 minuti e 43 dal termine, guida Limena davanti a Pasjevic e a Tormen, poi Labuda, ma soprattutto adesso sono tutti in 1 secondo e mezzo. So Tormen is back on P3 over Labuda. Pasjevic is trying to close on Limena, but the fact is that the pack is going to shrink a little bit, seems like, because Limena and Pasjevic are a little bit slower than Tormen and Labuda, so they are coming back at it. And Tormen seems like a man on a mission. 1 minute and 3 seconds of the last 2 laps. 1 minute 3 seconds point 3 from the last lap is getting at it.
It's properly in the balance, between particularly this top 4, as Tormen's trying to get alongside alongside Limena. It's not able to do so, and as a result, Labuda is going to be on the scene, taking a position off the reigning champion. So Pasovic takes the lead. Limena P2, Labuda 3rd, Tormen in 4th. They've got a decent gap over Cordera in 5th. Other good drives out there. Remember, all of these drivers will make it through to the final. There is no cut-off for them, not like we've seen with the seniors, the juniors and the minis. But we should talk about Gabriele Benzi up 4 places into the top 10. Manduki and Aguila as well are up into the top 20. They've both gained 7 positions apiece. Pasovic pulling away now, Daniele. This is a really good sign for the Polish runner in the end, 8:28, racing for the Magic Racing team, and this is a pretty magic performance at the moment, that he's able to pull away from a set of drivers in Limena, Labuda, Tormen, who we know they are all top quality drivers.
It could be like an entry for the finale, because it could be what we will see this afternoon with the Superfinal trophy on the line for them. Let's see what happened here, and then we can do the aftermath after it. But they are not only the top 4 drivers, they are highlighting how they worked in a different way, not only as the drivers but on their car, because probably Pasjevic had worked in a way to have a more fast car towards the end of the race, because right now he's getting faster and faster. First and only driver that got below the 1 minute 2 seconds barrier. Meanwhile, there's a technical flag for Alexandru Iancu. Pasievic probabilmente ha settato il proprio kart per andare un po' più veloce verso la fine, è riuscito a rimanere agganciato al treno di Mena, o comunque in ogni caso in questo momento sta tirando fuori qualcosa di più. 1.02.9 il primo pilota a essere sceso sotto il muro dell'1.03 e lo rifà. 1.02 e 872 fatto segnare dal polacco, che si sta lasciando definitivamente alle spalle tutti gli altri. Limena, Tormen e la Buda continuano a lottare invece in lizza per la seconda, terza e quarta posizione, mentre più dietro, al di là della technical flag per Janku che lo costringerà a imboccare la corsia dei box, c'è stato qualche rimescolamento di posizione anche oltre la quarta posizione, che in realtà è un gruppetto che non è lontano dalla Buda, Tormen e Limena, ovvero sia Cubides, Cortera e Squaranti, che adesso sono tornati in quest'ordine, però con adesso il lavoro che sta provando a fare Cubides di riavvicinamento alla Buda, Tormen e Limena per provare a rimescolare ulteriormente il tutto. Vediamo ancora la segnalazione della bandiera tecnica, technical flag per Janku, ancora una volta segnalata. Lo ricordiamo, poi qualora venisse ignorata dal pilota si potrebbe incorrere nella squalifica tramite la bandiera nera, che avrebbe anche un peso in generale oltre l'impatto sulla singola manche. Pasievic ormai è una solo, il suo 1.02 e 739, e questo il suo nuovo giro record. Per la terza volta di fila aggiorna lo score della tornata più veloce in gara. 1.03.4 per Limena, 1.03.4 per Tormen, 1.03.6 per la Buda, a sottolineare quanta differenza ci sia in questo frangente. Do you think, Andrew, that Pasievic had a kart that was set up to be faster on the last part of the race?
Either faster in the last part of the race or faster on a drying track, because we are starting to see that now. We saw this an example of this in Expert Plus, didn't we, earlier in the weekend when Derek Wang was able to tune in. Pasovic takes the race win, and well, we'll tally up the scores. That may well be pole position for the final for Pasovic, with how close it was before this race. Second place for Limena, third for Labuda, Tormen in fourth. It's still very close. I'd say from those four drivers, there's a good chance that you'll find your winner, but again, Shifter Rock can be very unpredictable at times. We'll wait and see later on this afternoon. Kubides in fifth, Cordera sixth, Squaranti, Janku, Cardenas and Benzi the top 10, Demartis, Fioravanti, Janchevsky, Kutaya, Pezuki and Agria all in the top 20, completed by Chiarello, Manduki, Francaso and Sabatino. Zaman, Ide, Pellegrino, Diana and Saba in the top 25. Rossetti, Jimenez, Pegazzano, Franciosi, Del Vecchio in the top 30. Shima, Ramirez and Okamoto, the last of the finishers. Ahrensberger did not finish the race. Leopardi and Lobi did not start. There we go then. That is all the pre-finals done. We're going to take a break here on the commentary. If you're watching on the YouTube broadcast, there will be a second link for the finals. And we'll be beginning those finals in around 20 minutes' time. Keep it locked here. We'll see you very soon with more action from the ROK Cup Superfinal.